That's $10,000, Connor. Ha ha! Yeah! 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 This show is not for sharpshooters. This show is a fucking machine gun. There's no chewy center to this show. It's all hard candy. This show is not a sniper on a fucking roof. This show is a drone taking out a village. Do not invite me into your house because I will come in and I will wreak fucking havoc. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast, folks. Life interferes. Things happen. We know this. Everybody knows that. You know that out there in podcast land. I know that here in Podcast Central. Podcast headquarters. That's where I broadcast from now. I can't be in the oldest building in Hollywood anymore. They evicted us. It's too old. They said, I'm sorry, the wiring does not support your voice. There's no way we can have you in here. The bees are getting in other people's apartments. People are complaining. Because, every time I do a show here, folks, I unleash the bees. You know that. We're all aware of that. But I am here today to tell you that this show will be different. Although it's kind of like the same as it was 2 weeks ago. I'm not happy about this, but there's nothing we can do because unfortunately things happen, folks. As I'm here, I'm produced. This show is not just me. If this show was just me, I could do it in my house naked. And as it is now, I have to go out and do it from Podcast Central naked, which is fine with me. I don't mind that. Because I've never been one to be shy about being naked in other places. That's a lie. That's wrong. I don't enjoy being naked anywhere except my house or your house. Hey, how you doing? What's going on at your house? I'll come by and be naked in your house. Why wouldn't I do that? Oh, don't stop. No. See, that's our friend Lily Von Stupp, and that's what I'm getting to. She is the producer of this podcast, and this show is a three-headed monster, as you know. It is me, and it is my friend Lily Von Stupp, and it is my friend David Hernandez. By the way, David Hernandez and Lily Von Stupp, not friends. That makes it so difficult at the board meetings. Oh, my God, it is so rough. I have one of those. You ever see like those long conference tables? Lily sits at one end, David sits at the other, I sit in the middle. And I have to go ahead and I have to go right side, left side, right side, left side. It's like it's verbal tennis with the two of them because they won't address one another. They won't even make eye contact anymore. And here's why. Because one time at 40-Year-Old Boy Industries, the things got a little hectic and everybody got crazy and there was some drinking and Lily fucked David. Now, it's strange. It makes it very weird. I wish it wasn't like that. It's awkward because David is married and Lily was at the time as well. But that's what led to the end of Lily's marriage. I'm peeling the onion for you folks. Let's get inside. Let's get really inside the 40-year-old boy. Let's talk about the drama and the soap behind the scenes here because I'm just selling soap. That's all I'm doing for you folks. It's very awkward between the two of them because it ended badly in that they were doing it in a grocery store storage room. Now, again, you don't even want to know about that. It was a long story. It was a bet. It was a dare. We had actually gone out shopping just to buy laundry detergent because the three of us used to do all of our laundry together. It was a bonding experience for us in the 40-year-old boy. We said, if we're going to be a team, we need to go ahead and get naked and wash all of our clothes together. And then one thing led to another. The two of them are back dry humping in a fucking grocery store storage room. And I'm out front shopping and going, hey, just pay no attention to the two-headed beast that's in the back. They're just my friends. But it was very late. It was very late at night because there was nobody there. So who was I talking to? The only checker. I had to make small talk with a checker. And if you've ever done that at a grocery store, folks, not fun. Unless that checker has Gumby poking out of his pocket. Ha ha! Go ahead and buy Schmitty Comes Alive. You'll know what that means. All right. So here I sit in Podcasting Central, which I lied. Podcasting Central is on the 4th floor of the oldest building in Hollywood, but still. We have to do a clip show today, folks. Unfortunately, this all started Monday. Well, I don't know. I think Lily got sick Sunday, and she thought she was going to be better. But then Monday came along, and she hosts the Monday Night Teas, which I will tell you a little bit about later. I will tell you a little bit about that later. Good Lord, my mouth doesn't work. But Monday, I was home, and I got a phone call from Lily saying, hey, look, I am fucking ruined. And I'm losing my voice, and that's the hardest part of this whole thing. So, can you host for me tonight at the 40-year-old or at the 40-year-old boy show? No, can you host for me at the Monday Night Teas? And I said, well, you do know this is going to disappoint everyone who purchased a ticket. She goes, yes, of course, that goes without saying. However, right now there's nothing we can do. I need somebody to get in there and at least hold the microphone and pretend to talk a little bit between naked chicks. Can you do that? I said, well, I'm more than capable of doing. But again, there may be some sort of torch-wielding riot by the villagers who attend this show every week. They may be very upset. They may form a posse. They may string me up. I could get lynched because they are not going to be happy about this. They come to see tits, and then they got to see bits. Nobody wants to do that. It's tits over bits. That's the voting at the burlesque show. Everybody's like tits, not bits. And I can't blame them because, folks, if I'm choosing tits over bits all the time. I even choose tits over Ritz, and I like those crackers. Those are good. Oh, you ever just eat a sleeve of Ritz crackers in like 5 seconds? Holy shit. It's brutal. Just covered in butter crusted crumbs. You're just sitting there going, why did I do that? Why did I eat all those? It's been a while. I haven't done that in a while. I haven't gone on a cracker binge in a while, folks. In case you were wondering. Is this show quiet? The show seems exceptionally quiet. Poor Lily's trying. She's like, I told her, I go, look, I don't want you to make a sound. You don't have to talk or laugh during the show. And she's like, tell me. Of course I don't. And she goes, well, but you do make me laugh sometimes. And I said, yes, I'm aware of that, but we can't have that happen because you shouldn't even be out of bed. You're not even supposed to be here today, Dante. But she said, well, because and also I shouldn't even fucking be here because I'll be honest with you, folks, I have live shows coming up, which I'll tell you about later, but I'll tell you about them now because I need to sell some fucking tickets. Hey, Austin, buy some fucking tickets for next week. I know I even came, I'm even coming on a Saturday and starting at 6:30 for you fucking people. Normally I was coming at Friday and starting at 8 and we didn't get out there until 1 in the fucking morning. But now I came in Saturday and did an early show. Good Lord, get on board, Austin. Let's keep it weird and buy some fucking tickets. And then also for Green Bay, because I'll tell you what, Green Bay went on sale and I sold 2 tickets immediately to our friend KC. And that's it. Ghost town. Nothing else going on in Green Bay. So it could be just me and KC hanging out. That'll be fun. And whoever he's bringing, he's got a +1. What if he bought the second ticket for me? What if he bought it for he bought it for Elijah? Maybe he bought that second ticket for Elijah. What if Elijah shows up? We better put out a spread. Got to put out some fucking challah bread. All right. So, folks, it's God, I hope I said that correctly. Well, folks, I say it all the time. So there's a clip show this week because Lily, I had to host for her on Monday night, and I said to her that even that night, I said, I hope the fact that you're naked doesn't make you catch a draft and make you even sicker. And she said, I'm naked all the time. I can fight off the elements. And then yesterday I wrote her and I said, hey, what are you doing? You want to go out to dinner, you and Eddie? She said, that sounds so delicious, except for the fact that I have not stood up the entire day. She has been perpendicular. She has been parallel to the ground. She laid in bed the entire day and answered emails barely off of her chest. And look, let me tell you something. Dealing with germs and dealing with sickness is one thing. Trying to balance a laptop on your double Ds while you're laying down, that could not be even, that made her even sicker, I think. That had to make her illness, that exacerbated her illness. And it certainly did nothing for her eyesight either because it's just jumbling around. Oh, folks, it's rough. So she told me yesterday that it looked bleak. I said, well, hopefully there's a miracle, a Hail Mary in the night. Hopefully Jesus shows up and touches you with his holy cock and you wake up and everything's fine tomorrow. Isn't that how Jesus does it? Is he repairing illnesses with his cock? I have no clue. I don't know. Lily's nodding. Apparently I'm correct, folks. And look, there is no greater theological scholar than my friend Lily von Stupp. So this morning, I stayed up late last night because I had some stuff to do, and then I woke up. I actually slept in a little bit. Then I slept till noon because I went to bed at 6. So I guess really I only got 6 hours. I didn't really sleep in. I slept normal, but I went to bed late and got up late. So, folks, if you're semantically arguing over how much sleep I got last night and whether or not I slept in, I'm going to say that I did not sleep in. I mean, technically I slept in because I didn't get up until noon, but since I didn't go to bed until 6 a.m., I really didn't sleep in. I got even less than the required amount of sleep. I mean, I usually only get 6 hours a night, and that's not healthy, right? You're supposed to get more than that, particularly when you're trying to get vascular and fucking yoked. Ran 3 miles today, folks. I'm on a high. I'm on a runner's high. No, I'm not. I was talking to Pat the other day. I'm like, dude, I'm running and I get so bored because I'm bored. Here's the problem. I'm running, like I said, around 3 miles on the treadmill. And I run for time, not for speed. I mean, I jog, so it's like I'm not running. I'm not sprinting, but I'm also not walking. I'm a full-fledged jogger. I'm Jim Fix, buddy. I'm going to be dead in a year. So I hit the treadmill, and that's how I work it, and I go ahead and take care of that business. But I told Pat, I go, I'm bored because my head just wanders. Again, a head full of bees, folks. The bees aren't used to being contained. It's so funny. You would think this. When I'm bored on the treadmill, you're like, well, go run out in nature because you can run in nature and you don't have to fucking pay for it. It's fine. I don't want to run in nature. You know why? Because if you run in nature, you got to come back. I don't want to do that. You run away and you got to come back. If I run on a treadmill, I'm in one spot the whole fucking time. There you go. I ran 3 miles in that little contained space. Perfect for me. But if I went outside and tried to run 3 miles, I'm 3 miles away from my house. What the fuck is that? Then I got to turn around and I got to get back. I got to take a bus. Fuck that. And I know probably you're thinking to yourself, hey, you could run 1.5 miles and then run around 1.5 miles back. Folks, I don't have time for your math. I just want to go out and work out and run. That's all I want to do. I just want to run again. as some of you may know. So I told Pat I get bored on the treadmill, and he's like, I never get bored. I'm like, you're not better than me, you dick. And I'm like, but I tried to, and so then I had to try to compete with him. And I go, well, I'm not bored, really. I go, and he goes, as long as I have music, I'm never bored. I go, well, yes, I lose myself in the iPod shuffle, into my run. But in the opening of it, I'm miserable because I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to make myself do this. And then in the first, 10 minutes, you run through that. And he goes, not me, man. I'm ready to go right from the jump. I'm like, all right, you're better than me. What the fuck? God damn it. Fine. You're a genius. You're the best athlete in the world. Fuck off, Usain Bolt. But I wasn't really that mad, folks. But I must admit, it was because it was like at every opportunity he was telling me I was stupid for not wanting to run, and it's like because I'm defensive and I'm an idiot, and he wasn't telling me. He's one of my best friends, whatever. But then I kept trying to explain myself. No, I do like music. Yes, I like running too. I do like it too. Pat, can I be like you, please? Can I be like you? But it bores the fuck out of me. But then here's the thing: I'll get on the treadmill and I'll run. And not run, jog, whatever the fuck. What's your semantic bullshit? Because that's another thing. Because I say I run on the treadmill for 3 miles, everybody goes, I didn't even know you could. Pat said that to me. He goes, I didn't even know you could run. I'm like, I'm a human being, Pat. I go, and like I've told you guys, I'm a hell of an athlete just wrapped in a Medea suit. I mean, I'm just covered in layers of suet, and that's my fault for years of abuse. But underneath it, fuck, I'm yoked, baby. But unfortunately, we got to chisel away the rest. I'm like a candle. I'm like a big fat candle, and we just need to light me on fire and melt me down and see what's inside, man. I'm all wick. I'm all fucking wick. That's right. I'm a goddamn vascular and yoked wick. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm babbling. I know you got to go to bed. I know you have to go to bed. I told Lily, I'll be out soon. I promise. But I'm talking, whatever. But I'll tell you this real fast. So I get in the treadmill. You can go to bed, I promise. Just go lay down. Tell me what button to push. So I'm on the treadmill, and again, this may work for you too, because our friend Sue who is going to. Sue cracks me up. Like, whatever, fuck, who cares? Sue's our friend. That's all I'll say. Not to be confused with our friend Susan, but our friend Sue. Sue C. Oh, I talked to my mom today. She finally listened to the CD. I got in the car, and I called my mom, and she's like, oh, Michael, yeah, I heard it. It was fantastic. I said, oh, great, Mom. She goes, yeah, I'll tell you what, though. You got to stop using those real names. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, you said Mrs. Crumb. And I go, you think Mrs. Crumb's going to find out about the fucking CD? That's fucking insane. And she's like, yeah, but she goes, I tell you what, I couldn't listen to that Scott part. I just couldn't. I tried, and I had to turn it off. It shook me up. Like, well, that stuff happened, Ma. She goes, yeah, I understand, but I don't want to hear about my kids and they're going at it. I go, Mom, there's an entire chunk of you punching a woman in the face. You rolled through that story fine. You're worried about me fighting with Scott, but you fucking knocked the shit out of a woman on her own driveway, and you heard that, and you're like, oh, it was fantastic. Of course it was. You're the star. I think my mom's just a glory hog, goddammit. My mom can't handle stories that are about her. She's like, oh, Michael, that everybody dies. Oh, I did love that story. I thought it was great. And she goes, you made it so funny, but then it's just, I had to turn it off. I'm like, why? She goes, I couldn't. I started sweating. I don't want to hear that. I just want to hear that about you kids. I'm like, okay. Remember the beginning of it when you fucking murdered a woman? Is that okay? Oh, that was hilarious. Yes, it was, Mom. But see, on a treadmill, folks, I can't concentrate. I do concentrate. Here's the thing. I get on the treadmill, and I run, and I'm bored. Because, again, my mind is all over the place, and I don't watch the fucking TVs, and I lose myself in the music, and I try to listen to the fucking great music, so I go ahead and just plow forward. But I'll tell you this. I'll push in 40 minutes, and I'll run 45, because they give you that 5-minute cool down, but I don't cool down. I just actually bump it up to the same speed, whatever the fuck, who cares? But by the time it's over, I stand there, and I'll fucking stand up, and I just fucking put my arms out at my sides, like, yeah, god damn it, that's right, 3 miles. And then I go to walk out, and by the time I get to my car, I'm like, you probably could have done another mile. I have this thing where in my head, I arbitrarily have decided to stop at certain times. And that's the thing you got to run through. That's the thing you got to push through. Because I have this weird sense of accomplishment where I'm like, all right, 3 miles, that's awesome. But you know what? I could keep going. But I don't know if the goal is to keep going until you fucking fall down. I mean, I have no clue. I talked to my trainer about that. I'm like, dude, I'm not sore anymore. Like, whenever I go home, I'm not sore the next day. He goes, that's good. I mean, you're getting used to working out. Oh, yeah, but shouldn't I be fucking beat? I mean, shouldn't I have to crawl out of bed and into the shower? I mean, because I used to have to fucking, when I would wash in the shower after a fucking workout, and I would have to lean my elbow against the wall and then move my body parallel to wash like my chest. It was like I couldn't move my arms anywhere. I go, and that never happens anymore. He goes, well, you don't have to worry about that, man. You're fine. That's the way it works. We're getting you into shape and we're building it up, and eventually we'll tone you, and then you'll lose all this weight, and then fuck it, you'll be knocking out everybody. It'll be great. And I said, good. All right, as long as you've got a plan. All right, folks. So this is a clip show that I have threatened to do many, many times. And I always throw it out. Sometimes I throw it out to you guys. And I'm like, hey, let's vote on what this should be and what it shouldn't be. But there are people out there who've come on board the show late. There are actually people. I have people who've bought the CD and then decided to start listening to the podcast, which is the weirdest fucking thing in the world to me because I thought only you guys who listen to the podcast would buy the CD. But somehow it broke through it slipped out a crack. It broke through the fence. It ran through the yard. It got past all the white supremacist gangs, the Aryan Nation, and it passed the El Rookans. And it ran and it hopped the fence and avoided the guards shooting at it from the light tower. And somehow the CD has escaped Gen Pop and gone out into the fucking general world. Our little prison, and our little 40-year-old boy prison, it escaped. It hopped the fence, and someone picked it up on the side of the road and went, wow, I got to hear more about this guy. So those people are on board. So maybe they haven't heard stuff. And there are people who've come into the run late. I know that some people wrote me, they're like, dude, I started listening to the third year or the fourth year, and then maybe they don't buy the old shows because they're intimidated by the amount of the old shows, and I get that. And also, fuck, I give you a free show every week of 2 hours. People are like, well, why would I buy another 75 hours of you? Well, because I'm fucking awesome. That's why. And plus, you need something to listen to when you're on the treadmill, right? Oh, that was another thing. I talked to someone was like, dude, I totally listen to the podcast. Why are you so red? What's happening?
I have no idea.
You're like breaking out in hives. That's fucking crazy. I gotta get the fuck out of here. This isn't a joke. Are they warm?
No.
Like her calves and her ankles and her feet are beet red all of a sudden.
It's okay. Just keep talking.
Was it because you were laying down and now you're sitting up and now the blood flow is coming back?
Just keep talking. I don't know.
Keep talking. I can't keep talking. You're about to fucking faint. Look what's going on. That's horrifying. I'm going to catch that. Look up WebMD. Look up red feet. Look up redfeet.com. Holy shit, this has got to be a fetish from some guys. It's totally awesome. It's like I fucked her after she stomped on grapes. It looks like you did. Look like you've been making Cabernet all day. All right. Hi, folks. This is what I'm dealing with. She can't talk. Her lungs are shot. I mean, her lungs are healthy from my view, but I mean, the rest of her lungs are not good. Her interior lungs are not doing well. That's right. No, you have exterior lungs too. That's what I would call them. They're very healthy. But then this is happening at the bottom. I don't know. You know what? You look like a thermometer. You know what? I got to put you in my mouth and see if that goes up your body. Stick your foot in my mouth and let's see if that travels up your legs. That's a show. Now we got a show, folks. Now we're cooking with fucking thermometer gas. All right, folks, this is a clip show. This opening is not a clip show. This is just, although this should live on. We should use this as a clip in a future show because it's all been brilliant. Let's be honest with ourselves. But I've threatened to do this show a lot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play the first show ever from this podcast. We're going to do, I was on Never Not Funny, and I was there for a year, and then I got fired, and I didn't know what to do, and everybody was like, dude, luckily I had listeners who had listened to me at Never Not Funny who liked what I did, and look, by the way, I've told this story before. I apologize, but I'm touching base for the people who are new, and maybe you older people can just stick around and hear it one more fucking time. I'm like your uncle who can't stop telling the same fucking story over and over, all right? Just sit there and listen. I'm going to be dead soon. And you're going to be like, oh my God, why isn't he here to regale us with those tales? Exactly. Well, then think about the 20 times I told you those tales. And I'm not telling tales out of school, I can tell you that. Because you know what? I don't know if you know this. The oldest building in Hollywood is a school. All right, sorry. So, folks, I was on Never Not Funny for a year. I was fired. And I did not know what to do. And I had people, I had built a website, and I had a mailing list from people who would write me, and they said, dude, you're fucking amazing. You got to start a podcast right away. And I just thought that was the dumbest thing in the world because I had just been fired from the greatest podcast that I thought was going. I mean, I loved it. It was the first of its kind, and I thought it was amazing. And I'm like, I'm going to compete with them now? How? I was on it. And the whole was greater than the sum of its parts. Well, I mean, they've proved that wrong because the whole has just moved on without me, leaving this part by the side of the road. But for a year, I just took it off, and I didn't know what to do. And our friend Eric Butterfield, who, if you like this show, when you see Eric, shake his hand, because the only reason this show exists is because of Eric and because of Lily. Because Eric told me for a year that I should be doing a show. He was very nice, and he was a big fan, and he would write me and tell me, and other people were too, you should do a show. And I wound up doing a guest spot on Jordan Jesse Go just after I had been fired from Never Not Funny. And it was funny, I finished up the gym stories on there, and that made people go even more, you have to have your own show. But I just didn't see the logic in it and going head to head with Never Not Funny. So a year passes, and I'm doing nothing, man. I'm fucking drifting and trying to find work. I was in the mix at Jim Rome, almost got that job. I was in the mix for a few jobs. And then finally, Eric, who had been writing me all this time and very friendly, and very nice, and we'd become friends, internet friends. He then said, "Hey, look, here's the thing. If you do a podcast, I will do all the work. I will show up at your house with equipment. I will record you. I will edit it. I will get it in the iTunes store. I will do everything you need to do. All you need to do is talk." And at that point, if I don't do a show, I'm a fucking coward. I'm scared. I'm a pussy. And look, folks, if we know anything about me, it's that I'm no pussy. That's literally my goal in life. That's gonna be on my fucking headstone. He was no pussy. Still dead though. Didn't matter. He's fine that he wasn't a pussy, but he still died just like the rest of everyone in the goddamn world. So at that point, I had to say yes. So Eric lived in Riverside, which is like 50 miles from me, and we decided on a time to record. And I will tell you this. I don't know if I told this on. I think I told this on here. I may have said it somewhere else. The story you're going to hear in the first episode is a story where I went to lunch at Louise's Trattoria. It's a restaurant here in California. It's a restaurant chain. And I was with my wife, Karen, my then wife, Karen, and Steve Perry from Journey came in for lunch. And we were sitting there, and I could not believe it. I was astonished. And look, we see celebrities and we see stars like that all the time. I just saw Bruno Mars the other day. I told you all this stuff. But when Steve Perry walked in, that's kind of my childhood walking in. That's like me seeing Eddie Van Halen at the newsstand. That's a big deal for me. So this first episode tells you the story of that. Well, that happened. That incident happened, and the waitress there told me he comes in for lunch all the time. Well, I made an offhand comment. I immediately once you'll hear the story, and then I went home and I called my friend Pat, and I said, "Dude, you're not going to believe this." And I told him that I'd met Steve Perry. He was at lunch. And I said, "They said he comes to this restaurant all the time." So some time goes by, and I get a phone call from Pat, and he's like, "Hey, you're not going to believe this. Jimmy and I went to fucking Louise's, and Steve Perry showed up." I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it was great." He goes, "I brought albums to get signed, and we met him, and we talked to him. It was fantastic." And I admit, that was cool, because it happened to me, so I know how cool it was for Pat, especially, because he also loves Journey. But part of me was fucking furious, because I knew they were going to go on Never Not Funny and tell the story, which, though it was their story, in reality, it was my fucking story. And it never would have happened if it wasn't for me telling them that was the case. So I won't lie, I was fucking livid. I felt cheated. I was sad. And also because, at the time it was also weird because Jimmy and I were not talking. So I thought, they're going to go back, like, literally to the scene of the crime, to where I used to go. I would be the one telling that story on that show. But now, no. The story had been taken from me, and it would also be told on the show that I was fired from by two of my great friends, and I would never get to share, because you have to be first. You have to be fucking first. Because if I tell a story, after the fact, "Hey, I also did that, but I did it before them," nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. And I'll be honest with you, nobody gives a fuck anyway that I met Steve Perry at a fucking spaghetti house. That's fine. But in the context of doing stories and telling people what happened and trying to be a performer and entertainer and sharing your life, you have to be first, kind of, especially with something that specific. So Eric had been constantly contacting me, and he offered to do all of the work, and I still was kind of hemming and hawing. And the second he told me that they met Steve Perry, I decided to do the fucking podcast, because it motivated me in such a way where I was like, I don't give a fuck if I do one episode. As long as I tell my story about Steve Perry before they fucking tell their story about Steve Perry, I've won. I fucking won. And is that childish? Yes. Is that me? Abso-fucking-lutely it is. Because it's a race. It's a goddamn race. And also at the time, Jimmy and I were weird, and it just felt it felt like they stole something from me, even though they didn't. They absolutely did not. And I also had a bunch of issues about him and the show and firings and blah, 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 even a year later. And I'll be honest with you, even now it comes up periodically. Even though it's much better, still, we all have that fucking hurt. So I couldn't understand why they were going to get to do something that I had done back where I used to fucking do it. I was so pissed. So I was like, I called Eric and I said, "Dude, I'm doing it." He goes, "What?" I go, "I'm doing a show. Let's fucking do it." He goes, "Great, when?" And I go, "Whenever. When do you want to come over? Tomorrow?" Because I was like so fucking mad. I had to get it done, and I had to get it up before they recorded theirs and put theirs out. And to his credit, he fucking rolled with it. He's like, "Whenever." He came fucking 50 miles from Riverside with a fucking 80-pound bag of equipment, it seemed like. He unpacked fucking like a pig nose amplifier and a bass. I don't even know why he brought a bass. I didn't need music, but he brought a goddamn bass and fucking microphone and all this shit. And he was going to bring it to my house. And he's like, all right, we'll do it on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. I don't fucking remember. Well, I said, okay, great. And I hung up the phone and I'm like, all right, well, you're just fucking committed to that, idiot. Now you need to fucking figure out what you're going to do. So in my head, I kept going over the story, and I'm just going to tell it and talk from the heart, because you can never go wrong when you speak from the heart, in my opinion. But will that be funny? And will that be what people expect from me? Because there were expectations. So I wasn't sure what it was going to be, and I just figured I'd tell the story. And then the night before he came out, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was in bed, and I was freaked out. And I was like, you know what, fuck this. I got to do something. So I got up and I actually told the story out loud, and I just wrote it down. I wrote it out on like 20 pages. I just started talking and firing away, stream of consciousness, and putting it all down so I would have notes for the show. That's how freaked out, even to the last like and ah. Like everything went down. Next day came. Eric set everything up. And that's what you're about to hear right now. What's happening? Comedian Mike Schmidt, here to talk to you on the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. It's yes, it begins. Finally, finally, I'm The Rock. Finally, Mike Schmidt has come back to podcasting. I have people writing me all the time. We're very nice and saying, Mike, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. Just felt weird. Felt weird doing one for a long time, but you know what? I'm doing fuck all these days, and I was very lucky that a good friend of mine, a young man named Eric, has volunteered his services, talked me out of retirement. I wasn't in retirement. I was sitting around. I was sitting in my apartment waiting for somebody to do the work, like I always do. And Eric was very nice, and he said, you know what, Mike, you should do this. And I said, all right, I'm going to do it. I get a lot of emails from people telling me I should do it, so now I'm doing it. So I'm going to come at you hopefully every week. Maybe twice a week. You know what? 7 days a week. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a year off, and then I'm going to come back and do one every single fucking day. That's what I'm going to do. Come right at you with podcasting aggression. That's the new name of the show, by the way, Podcasting Aggression. You remember Podcasting Aggression? They were a band. They opened for the Beatles. That seems weird. Why would they open for the Beatles? In the early 70s, did anybody truly know what podcasting was? And if they did, would they name their band after it rather than develop the technology that could make them rich? I have no idea. So the 40-Year-Old Boy is the podcast, because that's who I am. 40-year-old boy, 40-year-old guy who fucking plays with iPods and Xboxes and goes to movies and concerts and wouldn't dream about putting money in the bank. I was going to call it the Grasshopper from the Ants and the Grasshopper, but I said to myself, you know what? Nobody remembers Aesop's fables. Aesop should have had a fucking podcast. People would remember those goddamn stories. All right, so what I'll do is I'll be telling you stories, and because apparently I'm Garrison Kaler. I'm going to tell you stories. Go ahead, folks. Everybody sit on my electronic knee and let me spin a yarn. No, I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna tell you nonsense that happened in my life. I'm gonna tell you shit that's going on and shit that's not going on as I try to venture outside of these four walls inside of the Ant Farm that I've called my home for the past 10 years here in Los Angeles / Valley Village, California. With my wife, Karen, by my side. Yes, she's sitting here right now making biscuits while I talk. Why would she do that? That makes no sense. No, she's at work. She has no idea I'm doing this. She doesn't even know I'm a comic. She thinks I'm a painter. All right. So I'll be doing this every week, telling you stories, and here's one. I'll tell you. You know what? I have a website, MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You may have been. If you haven't been, you should start going. Seriously, because it's great. It's been up for a year. I think I've posted blogs 5 times. Holy God. And by blogs, I mean communiques. I hate the word blog. That's why I called it a communique, thinking I was different than everybody. And everybody still writes me and go, hey, great blog. So I guess I should just call it that. But I like to see communiques because I like a little French on my website. A Little French. That was actually the name of my autobiography for a while, A Little French. That makes no sense. So, MikeSchmidtComedy.com is where you can go and visit me and read all about communiques and stuff. And this is actually a story that I was going to write last summer when it happened, but then, unfortunately, everything came up. And I decided not to sit down and type because I'm very lazy. But I'll tell you now. I'm at Louisa's Trattoria, which is a fine dining establishment here in Los Angeles. And by fine dining, I mean they have napkins. So I'm there. I'm having lunch with my wife. And Karen and I are sitting there. And if you know me, you know that I'm a person who, if I run into a celebrity, I might say hello to them as if I know them because I think it's funny to do that and see their reaction. Or if I see somebody who looks like a celebrity, oftentimes I'll say something like, oh, look, how does Abe Vigoda feel about it? And I only say that if the person looks like Abe Vigoda, because that would be really strange if they didn't look like Abe Vigoda and I said that. It would make no sense to anybody at all except for me. And believe me, I'm used to that. So I do that a lot. Somebody will walk up who looks like a celebrity and I'll go, how does Wink Martindale feel about it? Again, only if they look like Wink Martindale. Those are the rules to this game. My wife has picked up this annoying habit. So Karen and I are sitting at Louisa's Trattoria, and she says, how does Steve Perry feel about it? And I look at her, and I turn around, and I'm not kidding. Steve Perry from Journey is actually walking into the restaurant. And if you don't know who Steve Perry from Journey is, first of all, hang yourself. Second of all, go to Amazon and look up Journey. And third of all, probably go to Amazon before you hang yourself because it wouldn't make any sense for you to hang yourself and then go to Amazon. So I'm sitting there. And by the way, I also get this. I know that there are two very distinct Steve Perry camps. There are the people who are like, haha, Journey. Remember the Separate Ways video? Journey blows. And then there's the, oh my God, fucking Steve Perry. I'm going to blow him and give him my wallet. And I will let you guess exactly which one I come in under. But I can tell you that my wife was getting her knee pads ready because I was going to talk to Steve Perry, whatever she had to do to arrange it. So Perry walks in, and a dilemma comes in. Do I approach Steve Perry? Again, I'm not a guy who usually just goes up and bothers celebrities. If they happen to walk in and I catch their eye or something, and maybe sometimes I'll lurk as they leave. And by the way, there's nothing more comforting for a celebrity than to see a 6'2", 280-pound guy lurking just on the periphery because they know something good is about to happen then if they see that guy in the shadows waiting to confront them. So Steve Perry, and also let me bring this up, by the way. Steve Perry comes in. He looks exactly like Steve Perry. And I'm talking like 1980s Steve Perry. Like he hasn't changed. He's not gray. He's got, there's like a scar on his throat from, I don't know if you heard he was in a bottle knife fight with Kevin DeBrow from Quiet Riot. Not really. But I don't know why he has a scar on his throat. Maybe he had a nodule or a node or something else that begins with N in his throat that they had to remove. So, but he looks exactly like Steve Perry. He's got the same Steve Perry hair. Same Steve Perry face. The only thing missing is the Steve Perry mustache from the Faithfully video, or the Steve Perry white coat and suspenders with no shirt from the Captured album cover. So that's far too much information about Steve Perry. So I can tell you. So I'm there, and I look at Karen, and I see Steve Perry, so I make a decision. I am buying Steve Perry's lunch. And I mean literally buying his lunch because I know that sounds like a euphemism for something. Hey, you see that guy? I'm going to buy that guy's fucking lunch. No, I mean I'm really going to buy Steve Perry's lunch. So I flag the waitress down. And also, I got to mention that when Steve Perry walks into Louisa's Trattoria, everybody there knows him. He was greeted like he was fucking Louisa herself. Everybody in the place, all the waitresses, cooks, Mexican busboys, arriba, Steve Perry. They're all crazy fucking excited. So I figure, all right, well, then they know him. So I'm going to, they just completely give him the norm treatment. So I bring the waitress over, and I'm quiet about it. And I ask her to do me a favor. You got to do me a favor. Please bring me Steve Perry's check so I can take care of it. Oh, and don't tell him, too, because I want it to be a crazy surprise. And she kind of gives me a look, and she pauses, and she's kind of back and forth about it. And she actually says, she goes, why would you want to do that? I'm not kidding. I lean forward, I looked her in the face, and I go, because it's Steve fucking Perry. Seriously, I'm a 40-year-old white guy. How do I not buy Steve Perry lunch? For God's sake, I probably owe the guy a week's worth of lunch because of the fucking Escape album alone, for Christ's sake. So she still thinks I'm crazy, and she gets weird, and then that makes me feel weird. And believe me, if there's one thing that I do not like doing, it's making life difficult for waitresses and waiters. I'm a nice guy, but I don't want to be treated like a king or anything, but I also recognize they're a person, and they, I want the job done right, but I want to be nice to them. So anyway, and it freaks me out because I have a friend, my friend David Lawrence, who I do his podcast sometimes. He's a great guy. Jesus Christ, we go to restaurants together. He talks to waiters as if he was speed dating them. It's the craziest fucking thing. Yeah, by the time this guy leaves the table, I've got his fucking horoscope sign. I know he's an actor and what actors group he went to, and he's a friend of the actors gang, and blah fucking blah. Get me some goddamn soup. So, the waitress looks very uncomfortable, so I call this whole thing off. It makes me sad, but I go, you know what? she's not into it, and I don't want to freak her out, and because I think if it's freaking her out, she's gonna roll her eyes when she gives Perry the check, and then he's gonna fucking give me the stiff arm, and I'm not interested in that at all. I don't want to be a fucking weirdo in front of Perry. I want to be a hero. That's why I'm buying his lunch. I don't know if I want to be a hero. That seems strange. Put on a cape. Buy a guy some lunch. So I back off, and it actually pisses me off because I didn't buy George Clooney dinner when I had a chance. I was in a sushi restaurant, and George Clooney was sitting there with someone, and we were the only people in the restaurant. I could have very easily gotten his check and fucking paid for it, but I fucking shined it because the staff didn't understand English, and I didn't want them to somehow charge me for George Clooney's car. I don't know how it was going to work. So I'm sitting there, and so I said to Karen, I go, well, this is, I can't believe that she kind of talked me out of it. And Karen, of course, is starting to nod off because she can't believe that I'm making this big of a deal out about lunch for Steve Perry. So then the waitress, after like 5 minutes of me, whining about it, maybe she heard me. I hope she didn't, but maybe she just did this on her own accord. Comes around the corner and she says, you know what? I'm sorry. It's not my place to tell you something like that. If you really want to do this, then you should. And she hands me Steve Perry's check. How fucking cool is that? So I go, no problem. So I've already paid my check an hour before and sat there for an hour wondering what I should do and if I should buy Perry lunch. But now it's time to pay his check. So I cough it up. Now I give her my credit card. I pay the check and I wait. But as I'm paying the check, Steve Perry goes to the restroom. And the waitress goes, pays the check, and tells the guy who ate with Steve Perry that we paid his bill. And he comes over and he profusely thanks me and my wife, which is great. He's a nice guy, but I didn't buy this guy fucking lunch. I bought Steve Perry lunch. And now I think I'm getting the Steve Perry shiv because fucking Perry's in the bathroom. I bought lunch and I'm getting like pseudo congratulations from a Perry surrogate. I don't want that. I want to talk to fucking Steve Perry. And now, stupid me, I'm wondering if there's like a window in the bathroom where he's going to fucking just launch. He's going to fucking, or I guess it's Steve Perry, so I guess I should say escape. Ha! Escape. It's an album. Anyway, so so I'm waiting, and but then after a couple of minutes, Steve Perry comes out, and his buddy tells him that Karen and I bought his lunch. And he could not have been nicer. He talked to us for like 10 minutes. He was so cool. And this is last summer, so The Sopranos finale had just come out. So, he was all excited about Don't Stop Believin' being the final song. And, of course, by saying he was excited, I mean I was excited, and he tolerated me babbling about anthems and childhood and fucking blah, blah, blah. So, again, he's great. We talk for a while. He goes to leave. And then, of course, because it's me, fucking awkwardness has to happen. It couldn't just be I bought Steve Perry lunch and he gave us a little captain salute and then wandered off into the tour bus with fucking Ross Valerie. No, he has to fucking go to leave. He shakes my hand and he gives me a hug. And I'm mentioning the hug for a reason that will become apparent later. It's not like I'm bragging about hugging Steve Perry, although, fuck, why wouldn't you? No, I mentioned it because he stole my wallet. Seriously, he thanks me for lunch. He turns to Karen to say goodbye. Now, I love my wife, okay? And she's great. She's listening, so I need to say that she's great and I love her. But I will tell you this. She's a fucking banana head. I mean, she does like the most retarded stuff. And then we'll just give you like a smile like, ha, I meant to do that stupid thing. So Perry goes to shake her hand. He shakes her hand. And then this happens. With her left hand, she reaches and she grabs Steve Perry's head. Literally palms his head like a fucking basketball because there was like a piece of fuzz in his crazy shiny hair. And I mean, it was so shiny you could see yourself in it. She honestly, there might have been fuzz on her face and she saw it in the reflection of herself in Steve Perry's hair. But she went to get the fuzz out of his hair, but he's coming in for a hug. So he zigs when she zags. And instead of getting the fuzz, my wife gets a fucking handful of Steve Perry's hair. And seriously, if there was security, they would have tackled her. They would have wrestled her to the ground and I would have let them because I can't believe she made this move. Now he jumps back and he's like, what the? And she's like, oh, there's a piece of fuzz. Which, you might have told him that before you jacked him upside the fucking head, but fine. But he laughed. We laughed. Everyone goes their separate ways. Ha! Separate ways, more journey. And my wife sold the hair on eBay. So it's a win-win for everybody. So all this happens, and I get to my car and I call my friend Pat Francis, who is the only other gay for Perry guy that I know. And I tell him about it. He freaked out, and he understands because Pat is a guy that we will go to concerts together, and then he will bring albums, and we will lurk around the tour buses trying to get a bass player to give his signature for some reason. We stalked Todd Rundgren one time. We were outside for 2 hours waiting for Todd Rundgren to finish a steak. How fucking horrible is that? So Pat calls me last week. Now again, this happened with Steve Perry last summer. Pat calls me last week and tells me that he had his own Perry adventure at fucking Louisa's Trattoria. What are the odds of that? Sadly, though, it was Tyler Perry. Ha! No, it wasn't Tyler Perry. But honestly, what the fuck is Tyler Perry going to be doing at Louisa's Trattoria other than buying the goddamn place? How many times is this guy going to put out the same fucking movie and people are still going to go see it? I don't get it. I'm stunned. And apparently, he's the most prolific writer in the history of Hollywood because every time I turn around, the guy's got a series, he's got a movie. Anytime somebody's dressed up like a chick, they got to send a check to fucking Tyler Perry. He's the Black Milton Berle, and that is not a compliment. And he puts out all this stuff. It's like, and I'll be in the checkout line at Ralph's, like, and they have those screens up there. I'm waiting for a Tyler Perry film to come on. Seriously. And whenever I see the ads for those movies, it's the same movie over and over, and him with the fucking crazy glasses, and it reminds me when I was a kid, there would be these plays that would run at like 2:00 in the morning. Not the plays, the commercials for the plays. They would run commercials. What if the play ran at 2:00 in the morning? Would you go see a play at 2:00 in the morning? I don't think I would. But it would be these plays at 2:00 in the morning. They would advertise, and it would always be like, "Your arms are too short to box with God," starring Fred Rerun Barry and Walona from Good Times. I don't know why those people were doing plays. I don't know how they got them to be together. Does Rerun wear the hat? I have no idea what's happening. But it would always be these weird. And by the way, getting onto that, I got my Newsweek today in the mail, and on the cover of Newsweek, there's a picture of Barack Obama from like the 70s. He looks exactly like Dwayne from What's Happening. And it says, when Barry became Barack, which is great because Barack Obama carries a little gravitas. Would you vote for president for Barry Obama? I don't think you would. So there you have it. That's my Steve Perry. That's my Tyler Perry. That's my Obama Barry. That's my Perry King. He was on TV in the 70s. No, the 80s. Maybe the 70s. I don't know. He was like a Johnny Jaw guy with a big pointy jaw. Not like a Leno jaw, like a crisp jaw. Crisp jaw? That's a good name for a band. Crisp jaw. All right, so there you go. That's what I plan on doing, man. I just plan on telling you stories, and hopefully you like them. And if you don't, you can go ahead and post feedback on iTunes, and you can send me emails and tell me things because God knows I will take all of your suggestions to heart, as I do whenever you send me emails telling me to do a podcast for the past year. See, I took your advice. It just took this long. You can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com always for appearances and communiques. There are no appearances on the horizon. I must tell you, I am going to be doing travailing the open mic seas here in California, going back and forth to and fro, doing all sorts of laundromats and barbecue restaurants. So you can see me there, or you can write me at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. That's Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Go ahead and send me a letter and let me know what you think about this rambling nonsense and whether it's worth continuing. And also, you can get us through iTunes, I think. We'll see if they approve it. We're going to send it to them because I was told today that they have to listen to a snippet of it before they put it up. And I got to be honest, I don't know who the fuck is doing that job, but he's asleep at the wheel because I have heard some garbage on iTunes. I have heard people just somnambulantly telling me about fantasy baseball. I have heard all sorts of horrible podcasts. And I heard a guy, he was doing a podcast, he's interviewing a guy, and in the middle of it, his dog starts barking. Now, wouldn't you, first of all, stop the recording? Just go, excuse me, hold on a second. My dog's going bananas in the other fucking room. Secondly, this guy does not do that. He posts it with the dog barking. And then this, like you just hear the dog like going, hur, hur, and the guy goes, hey, tss, tss. He's like clapping at the fucking dog to get him to shut up. Because that's what dogs do. They respond to applause. Usually when they're barking and they're in the other room, if you start clapping at them while Ron Chandler babbles on and on about what center fielder to draft in your fucking fantasy draft, the dog will immediately shut up because he recognizes that you're doing some amateur broadcasting out of your fucking living room. Get up and tell the dog to shut up or put it in the goddamn yard when you're doing a show. Who do you think you are, Will Carroll from Baseball Prospectus? Yes, I'm calling you out. So hopefully iTunes approves me, even though I didn't have any fucking monkeys jabbering in the background of this thing. And it was funny, Eric, my friend Eric Butterfield, who has been nice enough to come here with his equipment and record me and actually put a fucking boot in my ass and get me to do this. He was the one who told me that they need to approve it. He said his words were to make sure that there's even people talking because he thinks that there's no real arbiter or censor of quality. He just wants to make sure it's not like a test pattern or just like a screeching noise that they would put up to hypnotize somebody or just, it seems like if the Joker had an evil plan, he would go ahead and just submit a podcast and they wouldn't listen to it. And then it would be some weird ultra high frequency tone that turned people into flesh eating zombies. I don't know why the Joker wants people to eat themselves, but apparently he does. So, all right. So go ahead to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Write me at Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Look for us on iTunes. I hope, if I can get past the Council Guardian, and he posts it up there for the 40-year-old boy. And thanks, man. I appreciate all your cards and letters. I don't know if you're sending me cards via email. I haven't gotten them if you have, but I know you're sending me emails. Nobody sent me a card. How sad would that be? Somebody sent me a telegram. Stop. You must do a podcast. Stop. So thanks for everything, and let's hope you guys keep hearing it every week, and let's hope my good friend Eric Butterfield, thank you very much for coming out, and thank everybody. So go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and check it out. This has been the 40-year-old boy. I've been Mike Schmidt. I apparently only grew up with Mike Schmidt.
we should have been over by now. Oh, Sherry.
See how much better I am at this now? But that wasn't so bad, right? But that was just a guy like me talking in circles. And it's that was the origin of it because I had no idea what it was going to be. And and look, how odd is it to hear it without Lily? Especially if you're a new person, you're used to hearing me with our friend Lily. And I don't even know, I haven't heard that show in a long time, so I don't know if you can actually hear Eric laughing because he was actually actively trying not to laugh during the show. And it was weird. It was because he didn't want to interfere with the record. So if you actually buy year one and you hear shows progress with Eric, because he only did the first 8, you can actually hear him laughing toward in a couple later shows in the run, and because he can't help himself. Because you know why, folks? I'm fucking hysterical, and Eric thinks I'm great, or he thinks I'm funny at least. He might not think I'm great, but because those are mutually exclusive. You can be great and not be funny. Just ask Einstein. That guy wasn't funny at all. That guy's a dick. By the way, let's talk about this. Did you see that Bohemian Rhapsody parody online? Some physics kid did a kid. He's probably 30. Some physics guy did a parody of Bohemian Rhapsody about string theory, and he recorded all the vocal parts and did a video. And this guy, he's a genius. He's a physics genius, and this was part of his senior thesis or whatever the fuck. And I watched it. It's 8 minutes and 24 seconds, and I remember I watched it this morning, and I went, this guy's better at me than everything. It's fucking awful. He's like smart and he's going to be a rich fucking chemist or whatever the fuck those guys do. I have no idea. He's going to go to space and build a space station. He can do all that shit and he can do what I do. He can entertain you because he fucking nailed Bohemian Rhapsody, all of the vocal parts, and he wrote an entirely new parody of it with words about string theory and physics and chaos. That's fucking amazing. I do this shit. I'm playing old shows from 6 months ago. 6 months? 6 years. Good Lord, folks. Where am I? I'm trapped. I'm lost. But yeah, go watch that video. It's fucking amazing. Bohemian Rhapsody string theory parody. I'm going to bet if you Google those 5 words, you'll find it. You'll find it right away. I can't imagine anything else coming up when you Google Bohemian Rhapsody string theory parody. But it's amazing. The guy was fucking great and he sang. And like I said, it was just this bitter taste where I went, oh my fucking God, this guy's not only going to be a rich chemist, but then he'll have like a fucking barbershop quartet that goes to #1. And fuck, I'll be ruined. I'm not in direct competition with this guy, by the way. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. Even though I think so in my head, and in my head, all of entertainers are in a fight. Every single one of us, all entertainers are in a fight. I'm not just happy with an audience. I need to have everybody's fucking audience. I need everybody to pay attention to me because look at me, folks. Look at me. Look at me. So Eric lasted 8 shows. And then unfortunately, Eric had to stop doing the podcast. And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, why? Well, was it time constraints? Was it work? Was it the traveling to and from Riverside? Because I actually went to his place and did a couple episodes. He came to my place and did a couple episodes. No, it was an entirely different reason, but a very familiar reason for any of you paying attention. And I actually covered that in this upcoming episode you're about to hear, which is the first episode I ever did with our friend Lily von Stupp. This was episode 9, year 1, and it was called A Change at the Top. That was the name of it. And I don't know, I still don't know yet how we're editing it because, again, poor Lily, I can't have her doing too much work. So we may be just putting in full episodes, maybe cutting the beginning, the end. But I think you're getting the music. We're leaving the Van Halen in. These are just full episodes, okay? But if you're wondering why I no longer worked with Eric after episode 8, I explain it here in episode 9 with our friend Lily von Stupp, which is coming up right now. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast, coming to you this week. Episode 9 of the 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. Episode 9 of what was almost an 8-episode series. Not going to lie to you folks, because I'm coming to you live this week from, not live, again, I don't understand why I say live, but I do, because I'm a retarded person. But I'm coming to you from Burbank, California this week. I know that's very different. Usually I'm in Riverside, or I am in Valley Village, California. I can tell you, I will no longer be coming to you from Riverside. That's not going to be a problem in the future, as the goateed monster, young Eric Butterfield, who's actually, it was his idea to do this podcast, has gracefully bowed out and will no longer be producing said show. I can't blame him. The guy's got a serious life. You know, this guy's got a real life. I mean, I'm an idiot. I sit around and I talk, and honestly, for a year was waiting for somebody to write me and go, dude, I'll do all the work if you just want to talk. Fantastic. I'm in. And Eric just happened to be that guy. And now Eric is out. Yeah, because Eric sent me an email last week, shortly after we recorded episode 8, saying that he was unfortunately tied up. The guy's got too much of a life going on. And, I'm going to leave it to you folks to speculate as to whether or not his wife might have had something to do with that. I'm not going to go ahead and guess. I certainly don't want to put forward any sort of theory that would prove to be untrue. But I will say that Eric, this is a guy, dude, he's a normal guy. He took it upon himself to go ahead and do this show. He went ahead and, sent me a note, said, let's do it. We would record on Tuesdays. He would have to, and then this is a guy, he got up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work. So he would get up at 4:30 in the morning on Tuesday, go to work, and then I would either come to Riverside and meet him, or he would come and meet me in Valley Village. Either way, he wouldn't get to bed in time, and then he'd have to get up at 4:30 on Wednesday morning. On Friday morning, yes, he would sleep. He would go to bed Tuesday night and then sleep until Friday morning, because his job is as he's a Rumpelstiltskin impersonator at a local fair. So that I don't know why he's so tired. That seems like a job tailor-made to get some sleep. But he is a guy who would get up at 4:30 in the morning and then get home at like 2 in the afternoon and then have to edit my show all night and then have to deal with me calling him and going, no, I want you to stop the Van Halen song at 1 minute and 18 seconds, not 1 minute and 21 seconds. Who the fuck do you think you are? And I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. It's become very apparent to me that I am a jagoff. And it's in listening to this show that I realize it, and I laugh, and I go, man, I thought I was a decent guy, and I still am. I guess I am a decent guy. I just got foibles. I'm fastidious. I got a lot of other things that begin with F that have to do with me, and I don't know. I learn about them every time I hear the show back. So the bottom line is Eric is no longer involved with the show, and I have to say right now, Eric Butterfield, I thank him so much, because if it's not for him, I'm not doing this show. That guy. With a very generous offer, and gave of his time, and gave of his experience, and gave of his ammunition when we went to the Riverside shooting range. He was right there with the bullets. So he provided content for that episode. And I can't thank Eric enough. He was very cool and very gracious in his time and his efforts. And I'm thrilled. And I'm very disappointed that he's not still involved, because, there was nothing better than having a guy who really thought you were funny hanging around. That was great. It would be like having an Ed McMahon, like a sidekick who hung out with you all the time. And every time you would talk, they'd just go, ha, 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 yes, absolutely, sir. How great would that be? It would be like having your own theme music, which I've always wanted to, when you walk into a place and which is why I'm so queer about the music with this show. Even from when I was a kid and I would play the wrestling game, like we would play wrestling, and every wrestler had to have a different theme song. So literally we'd be in the yard going to wrestle, and then hold on, got to get the boombox and change the tape and play Back in the Saddle by Aerosmith. I mean, it was just like retarded. So, but that's who I am, and that's what I do. So, coming to you live this week from Burbank, California, in the studio of my friend Lily, who we all learned about last week in her nudity and dancing skills. And we're going to be having her produce the show. I figure she's going to get through probably 4. I don't think she's going to make 8. She's probably going to do 4. And then I'm open to suggestions. Anybody who wants to write me and go ahead and give them their time. And it's funny, because when Eric chose to do the show, when Eric asked me if he could do the show, one of the conditions, I said to Eric, man, I would love to do it. Thank you so much. It's really cool. But after we get like a couple months under our belt, and by the way, I said a couple of months on purpose, because it meant that was 2 months that I wouldn't have to work. But I said to him, you know what, let's get a couple of months under our belt, and then I need you to show me step by step everything I need to do the show myself. Because I knew, I guess, somewhere in my blackest heart, that eventually Eric was going to take a powder, and I was going to, because not because I'm a jagoff, even though I am, but I think mainly because the guy's got a real life. He's got shit going on. So, and this is before I knew his wife wanted me dead. So, I said, you can show me everything, and unfortunately, the relationship didn't last long enough, and he took off. So I still don't know what to do except talk. And so now I'm here, and my friend Lily knows what to do. She's got her Behringer mixing board here on the studio table. And by the way, on studio I mean kitchen. I'm sitting in her kitchen. What am I? Who am I kidding with a studio? Just because literally nowadays, if you have a laptop computer, fucking anywhere is your studio. You can say, hey, you want to go to my studio at Starbucks and record something? Yes, of course I do. So yeah, we're in her kitchen now and I have a headset mic and I'm really uncomfortable with it. It's very odd because Eric had a freestanding mic, so I had headphones on, but then I could like lean back and kind of talk into the microphone and stuff. But now I feel like I have this thing attached to my head, and every time I talk, it's gonna pick it up, and it's true because that's what microphones do. Listen, folks, I don't know if you have any idea what a microphone does, but apparently, if you speak into it, it's going to record everything you say for posterity and put it down on tape. And by the way, for posterity, I mean for not posterity, because there's no way that this is interesting to anybody. So there you go. That's what microphones do. And look, hey, I'm learning. I got that technical knowledge. I know that much. I know that a microphone picks up what you say and records it for you. Fantastic. I'm well on my way to producing the show myself, which is going to be the case because, again, Lily is going to take a powder because I am a jerk. So here I am in Lily's kitchen. I'm wearing a headset microphone with the wraparound mic in front of your mouth. So I could be doing a podcast, or I could be taking your order and getting you extra fries and a cheeseburger, because it's one of those headsets that you see. And by the way, although I shouldn't say that because this thing is like big and fucking clunky. It's like half a ball gag, honestly. But if you go to Jack in the Box, I went to Jack in the Box at like 4 in the morning a couple days ago because I was bored, and that's what I do when I'm bored. I fucking get a breakfast burrito. God forbid I read a book, and that's why I'm a house. So I go there, and the guy working at Jack in the Box at 4 in the morning has this amazing headset on. It looks like a little Bluetooth thing, but it had crazy red lights on it, and it was sleek. It was in his ear, and I'm thinking to myself, man, why is Jack in the Box the vanguard of fucking technology? And honestly, it's fast food and porn. Those are the two industries that for some reason adapt technology faster than anybody else. You go to the bank, you still got to wait in line with like 9 people while one person calls your name. But if you want a cheeseburger or you want to jerk off, everything happens at light speed. So Eric is gone and Lily is in, and here's something that will suffer. I can tell you this for sure. Eric, for some reason, knew everything I'd ever spoken about. He was a guy who, when I would say something, he would go, "You've said that before," or "You've covered it," and he was real good at that. Lily has no idea. So if I wind up repeating myself, you guys are gonna be like, "Is he? I mean, seriously, is he losing it? Is he fucking going crazy?" No, I'm not going crazy. I'm just a guy who talks and forgets what he says. And Eric was a guy who was really good at keeping track of that. So if I wind up repeating myself, I apologize. Go ahead and send all emails to ireallydon'tfuckingcare.com. So I can't wait to get those. And it's funny. This whole incident with Eric has taught me, and it hasn't really taught me anything. It made me think. I joke about being a dick, like that. I'm just a jerk, and I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just I guess I have jerky tendencies. Sitting in a guy's house and talking about his wife for 10 minutes while he's sitting there and she's in the other room, that's probably a jerky tendency. And and it probably didn't help continue our working relationship. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, it fucking happened. I mean, how was I not supposed to touch on it? That house was so tense, it was ridiculous. So there you go. So, but, it's... I've lost friendships over the years. I used to work on another show, a show called Never Not Funny, with Jimmy Pardo and Matt Belknap, and that fell apart because apparently I'm a dick. I guess. I mean, that's the vibe I got. Something happened, and it was a long, arduous thing. A lot of things happened, and that contributed to it. But it makes me feel terrible, and it makes me think, am I that bad of a guy? Because I have friends, like my only friends really, I guess, that I can consider are friends that I grew up with, and these are guys who've known me since I was 11, and they have stuck around. So I mean, am I that bad, or can we look at it this way? Are those guys as big a dicks as me? And therefore, we just are like these guys who can tolerate one another. Literally, we're the only, because none of us like anybody else. I mean, all of us will always, my buddy Dave, my buddy Max, and I will joke about it all the time. It's just like, man, you know what? I'm 40. I don't need any more friends. I got all the friends I'm ever going to have. And by that, I mean me and Dave. That's it. I don't have any other friends. I don't have anybody else that I hang out with or talk to. And it's like I sound like a woman crying about it, but I'm not. I'm just telling you the truth. That's the way it is. it's weird. It's like, am I a bad guy? And when I'm going to therapy, I sit there and I talk to the lady, the lady. That's what I call her, by the way, when I show up. She's the therapy lady. She's the oh hey look, the lady's here who listens to me talk about when I was a kid. Idiot. So but I wonder if it's am I a bad guy? And if so, what does it say about the three guys who've stuck with me my whole life? Are they bad guys? And I can answer in the affirmative on one of them, my buddy Dennis. He is a jagoff. You think I'm bad. Dennis is a guy, because he is the guy in our group who is notorious for being a guy that everybody fucking hates. Like we love him. I love Dennis. He's like the best guy ever. And he is a guy. You ever see the movie It's a Wonderful Life? At the end of the movie, when everything, by the way, spoiler alert for a movie from 1911. If you haven't seen it, you might want to turn off the show now because I'm about to give something away. At the end, Jimmy Stewart is rallying from some setbacks. Let's do it. That's enough of a spoiler. I'll couch it in that. Jimmy Stewart is rallying from some setbacks, and all of these people in town, because he's a good guy, they start bringing him cash, and they start doing everything they can. And then he gets a telegram from Sam Wainwright, who is a munitions expert or whatever, and a plastics guy. I don't remember what he was, but he basically tells Jimmy Stewart in a telegram that he's going to give him whatever he needs. And Dennis is my Sam Wainwright. If anything ever happened, I know that I could call Dennis, and he would take care of business. Unfortunately, he would have to run it by his wife Monica first, and I don't know how on board she would be. But I can tell you that Dennis is gung ho to help me out with whatever I need to, and he has in the past. Anything that happens, I can call Dennis, and I know he can take care of it. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that he's not a dick, because he is, man. He is. We were kids one time. We went to we were at a Golden Bear restaurant. Hold on. Did that hurt anything? I'm in a chair with wheels on it for the first time, and I rolled forward, and my knee hit the table that all the equipment's on, and everything shook like there was a goddamn earthquake. That was brutal. Did I jump anything? Did the needle move? You can talk.
No, we're fine.
Okay, good. She gave me the thumbs up and winking, and I'm like, enough. I don't, you're not trying to pick me up in an adult bookstore. Just go ahead and say fine. Uh, so she just, brutal. So, and what was I talking about? So Dennis. So yeah, Dennis and I, we're at the Golden Bear restaurant, and I think we dined. Did we dine and dash that night? I think I did. But we're there eating, and there's these old women, and Dennis is a guy who really has no filter and doesn't censor himself. He swears like all the time, everywhere. If you thought that I said fuck a lot in the first 3 episodes of this show, you wouldn't even be able to listen to Dennis. I mean, Dennis opens his mouth and it's literally like a blue cloud comes out because he's swearing so much. And so we're doing that in line to leave, and there are these old people behind us, and we can hear them. They're appalled at Dennis's language, and they're just like, "Oh, can you believe he's using that kind of language? And in public, oh, it's unbelievable. His parents, they're just talking." And Dennis is looking me now. Dennis and I are looking each other right in the face, okay? And the old ladies are to my right, to Dennis's left, behind us, okay? And Dennis is looking, and he's like, "All right, well, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna head up to." And he stops, and he can hear them. They're like, "Oh Lord!" And he's like, "Oh fuck." You know what, Mike? You really can't like coming to get something to eat and getting ripped on, and then he wheels his head really fast, and I mean he's nose to nose with this old lady, and he goes, "By one of the Golden Girls. Have a good fucking night, ladies," and walks out of the Golden Bear. Just just drops an F-bomb right in her face and splits. And in the commotion, of course, I then hid my check underneath the cash register and left without paying, because that's what I did when I was a kid. I never paid for a meal anywhere because I was a slob. Because dining and dashing was funny. That's what I would do. Retarded. But that's Dennis, man. Dennis, when he was living in New York, my friends went out to stay with him on, they went to Times Square for New Year's Eve and stuff like that. And he had a gay roommate. And the gay roommate had a friend also stay over. And then in the morning, everybody's kind of out in the living room. And Dennis is like, "All right, we ready to take off, guys?" And he walks out, and he has a jar of Vaseline in his hands. And he throws it to his gay roommate, and he goes, "Clean up your squeak, you goddamn queen. You kept me up all night. Clean up your squeak, you goddamn queen." Oh, my Christ. Who says something like that? My friend Dennis. But still, one of the best guys I've ever met. I mean, Dennis, my three friends, Dennis and Max and Jeff, are the three guys I grew up with and still talk to this day. I don't talk to Jeff as much, because they're all married with kids. All of them are married and they have kids. I'm godson to Max's son, Val. And I don't talk to Jeff as much. Jeff is Jeff. I used to, Jeff was insane when we were kids. But then as he got older and he got married, he was the one who went, "You know what? I think I'm going to grow up. I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop acting like a jackass. And so he has his wife and kids, and it's so funny because we always, whenever we get together in a room, you can always bet that we're gonna talk about high school. We always joke about what happened in school, and we'll bring up names of people like and Jeff's wife Sharon hates it. She cannot stand it. She's just like, why does this always come up? And it's like, we don't know why, because it's ridiculous. It makes us laugh. It's so stupid. You can bet that eventually, within like 10 minutes of us being in a room, Emmanuel Skatidis is going to get mentioned. He's a guy we went to high school with, and he's just going to get brought up for no reason. And then Sharon, of course, will look at us and go, you guys are fucking idiots. And yes, we are. There's no doubt about it. I call Jeff the amorphous peg because Jeff used to be he was insane. He was when we were kids, but then as he got older, he's the guy who he will do anything to fit in with anybody. Hey guys, what's going on? Hey, I hope everything's going well. And he's not that much of a pussy about it, but it's still funny to hear him talk because he's he was the guy. Let's put it this way: Jeff is the guy that all of the wives love. That's why he's the amorphous peg because they all think that he's this really sweet, nice guy, but they never saw him when he was punching a homeless guy in the face in Chicago. So they have no idea that Jeff would do anything like that. That Jeff was drunk and charged out of the car at a homeless guy, and I had to grab him and drive him back into the car. They don't know that Jeff's the guy who, when we were talking about our friend Eric Smith, Jeff was drunk and just went, Smith's a prick. He needs his ass kicked in the middle of the car for no reason. He wanted to go at 2 a.m. and beat up Eric Smith at his house. So, but the wives all think Jeff is the greatest. They're like, oh, Jeff is the best. They don't know that Jeff, here's something Jeff did. Jeff and I used to work at Jewel. We were baggers in a grocery store. And then one day we went to breakfast at Ponderosa. Ponderosa is like a sizzler. I don't know if they have them everywhere, but they used to have them in the Midwest. And they had a breakfast buffet. And believe me, Fat Mike was going to a breakfast buffet. What's that? All you can eat eggs? I'm in. Because is there anything more appetizing than all you can eat eggs? God knows you want to shove as many eggs as you can and until your heart explodes. Just fucking eat them until your heart goes off like an atomic bomb right in your chest. And it's not even eggs, too, when you go to those places. It's that powdered shit that they mixed with water that made a pan of yellow. But for some reason, you were like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and shovel all of these down my throat. So we go to breakfast buffet at Ponderosa one time, and it's me, Chris Shabika, and Jeff, my buddy Jeff. And we wind up there, and we're eating, and we're killing time. And then when we leave, for some reason, I don't know why they did this. I don't know if it was a policy back then that they've changed, or if we just somehow made it a policy. They had, like, doggy bags with a buffet. Who does that? You can't do that, especially when a big fat guy's there. So I filled up these bags. We took, I'm gonna say a rough estimate, we took 240 waffles. That's what I'm gonna guess. We took 240 Eggo waffles that they had cooked and laid out and just shoved them in a bag to take them. And they had for some reason a pan that had onions and peppers, just like sautéed green onions and peppers. And I don't know if that was a side dish or a meal or an accoutrement or something you're supposed to put on the powdered eggs. I have no idea. But all I know is I filled up 2 buffet bags, 2 all-you-can-eat, takeaway bags with sautéed peppers and onions and Chinese noodles. You know those crunchy ones? Like the chow mein noodles, basically. And I shoved them in there, and I called it, because I was eating it at breakfast, I called it the Sino-Japanese salad. So I was eating it, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to take some Sino-Japanese salad on the road. So we take all the waffles, and we take the Sino-Japanese salad, and we're driving. And as we're driving in Jeff's car, of course, what happens when you're in a car? You think to yourself, how can we cause some mischief right now at 11 o'clock in the morning? So we decided to drive around and throw waffles at people. Now we're driving, and waffles are great to throw because they fly. I mean, it's not just like you're just whipping. So we would come around, and we would see people on the road, and you would just fucking whip a waffle. I mean, who gets a waffle thrown at them? But it doesn't matter. Jeff is driving. He's laughing his ass off. Me and Shabika are hanging out of the car, and we're just whipping waffles. So there's a kid. He's mowing his lawn. We come up on the guy. We come around the corner. He's mowing his lawn. Imagine this. You're mowing your lawn. You look, and you just hear, hey! You look, 2 guys are hanging out of their car. Fizzum! They just throw waffles like fucking shurikens, like throwing stars. They come flying at you. And they did. It was great because they're heat-seeking missiles. And he's just looking at us mowing the lawn. He's like, ah! And the waffles go flying at him. We drive off. So we find some more people. Then we go by Darren Chisholm's house. Darren Chisholm was a kid we went to high school with. His mom and dad are coming out of the house. His mom and dad are walking out. They're locking up their front door. We just come around the corner. Boom! We just fucking whip waffles at Mr. and Mrs. Chisholm. They go flying off the porch. They bank off their mailbox. They fucking, what the hell? So we drive. Jeff's laughing. We're hilarious. Come on, you're throwing waffles at people. It's beautiful. So then we come around the corner. There's the kid mowing his lawn again.
and he sees us, he lets go of the lawnmower and just lets it keep going and sprints, just runs as fast as he can to go into his house. And we're like, the hell with that. Ching, ching, ching. We just fucking whip waffles at him. They come flying. He dives behind his car in his driveway. It was awesome. So it was like, and he doesn't, you know what? He doesn't care that he's going to hit by waffles. Waffles don't hurt, but he's in on the game. It was gorgeous. He played along, and his lawnmower is just like driving on its own. He dives onto his driveway as waffles go flying at him. Awesome. So we do this. We throw the waffles, and then we're out of waffles after an hour of fun, and we can't stop laughing. So then Jeff goes to drop me off at my house, and he had to turn around in a cul-de-sac. So he turns down this cul-de-sac, and there's kids playing in the cul-de-sac. And little kids, probably like 8 years old, and they wouldn't get out of the way of the car. And Jeff pulls up, and he's waiting for them to move, and they're playing, and they wouldn't move because I guess when kids are first of all, if you know what a cul-de-sac is, it's like a court or a cul-de-sac. It's a dead-end circle where there's just houses. So kids, I'm imagining, are probably used to just playing there and not used to a lot of cars coming, so they don't really move because they figure no cars are going to come down in their neighborhood, their little cul-de-sac. These kids wouldn't move. So Jeff and I are like 17 years old, 18 years old, and we start honking the horn. Get out of the way, kids, whatever. So they stand up, and this little girl stands in front of our car. Like, all of a sudden, she's basically taking a Tiananmen Square stand against our fucking car, and she's standing there looking in the window at us as we sit there looking at her. And she's probably like 7, this little girl, and she's just like, stop, stop, because whenever Jeff honked the horn, like it was too loud. So Jeff goes around her. She's standing in the middle of the street. She actually did it. She Tiananmen Squared us. She made us go around her. So we go around the little girl and we stop. And she looks in and she said, you should stop blowing your horn. I took a handful of the Sino-Japanese salad and blasted her right in the face. I mean, she is standing there. She's like 6. She's 6 years old. She's looking at me in the car. We pull up and I'm reaching in and she's doing it. And she's going, you guys should stop. That horn is too loud. A huge handful, because and look, I can palm a basketball. I got a pretty big hand. I scooped out essentially the contents of one full bag of Sino-Japanese salad and blasted this little girl with it. Just covered her from head to toe. She's standing there, she's covered in peppers and onions. Who throws that at somebody? What kind of animal throws peppers and onions at somebody? I do, goddammit. So this little girl is now she's standing in her cul-de-sac, and we got to turn around. So we got a Brave going back past her, but it doesn't matter. She's out of commission at this point. It might as well have been like a Spider-Man web that I blasted, because she can't even move. So we go up in the cul-de-sac, and we turn around to go home, and she's just standing there, like little kids when they just cry for no reason. But there's a big reason at this point, because she is covered in butter, onions and peppers, along with and crunchy Chinese noodles, and they're falling off her. So our wives, they don't know that Jeff. They know the nice guy Jeff who will pull out your chair and smile and wear a kiss to cook apron. They don't know Jeff when he was throwing vegetables in little kids' faces. Although I guess technically he didn't really. He was just the bag man. He was the bag man. He was the wheel man. He was driving while I was throwing vegetables in little kids' faces. But still. And I've thought of sometimes about that little kid and just thought to myself, if she remembers that. And if, like, to this day, like, she can't eat onions because of it, like, part of me wanted to stick around and see the carnage, like, wanted to see her mom come out and the confusion on the mom's face as she looked down and said, you're covered in a side dish. How does that happen? I mean, I can understand if you had a fight or, you got muddy or dirty or you're out here playing, but how are you covered with condiments? That makes no sense at all. So if that kid to this day like must be sickened by the smell of it. It's like napalm. Vietnam vets, they get the smell and they're like, oh man, it takes me right back to Da Nang. Well, this kid is just like, someone sauteing onions. She's like, it was a warm day in Bolingbrook. It was in a cul-de-sac. It's a story I don't care to tell. So yeah, that's the Jeff that people don't remember, that people don't know, and. But yeah, that's the guys I grew up with, and then they've stuck with me, and it's like I guess maybe we all are. Well, they've grown up though. They're like I said, they've got kids. I don't have any kids to worry about. I'm just a giant. I'm the 40-year-old boy. That's why I called it that, because I got no kids and I got no future. What am I talking about? I got my buddy Dave. I talked to Mex. I know listens to the show, so he's going to hear this, and he's going to. But Mex doesn't. I wonder if he remembers this. When Mex, because I used to, I've told stories about fighting on here. I think one of the reasons I fought, when I grow up, is because I used to get my ass beat as a kid. I mean, and so I'm trying to make up for lost time after getting my ass whipped so much. My older brother Lenny used to beat my ass, and for some reason I wouldn't fight back. And then the day I fought back, I punched Lenny in the face as hard as I could and just ran, like literally sprinted 9 miles to get away from him, until he, because I knew he was going to catch me, he was going to beat the shit out of me. But yeah, I was just that guy. I got into a fight one time in high school, and we were at a football game. And again, for no reason. It wasn't even our high school playing. It was Romeoville High School against Andrew. It was a playoff game. And I went to Bolingbrook High School. I had nothing to do with this, but we hated Romeoville, so we went to the game anyway to root for Andrew. What you're dealing with. That's the mentality you're dealing with here. And we go to the game. We're cheering for Andrew, and I'm very vocal. When I'm cheering for Andrew, I'm actually like spelling out, Andrew, give me an A. Like, I mean, just awful, really retarded, stupid shit that you look back on now and go, why didn't somebody beat my ass? Well, guess what? Somebody did beat my ass. Because, well, like I said, we were rooting for Andrew, but I don't remember how it happened. But somehow the Andrew people hated us too because we were so obnoxious. Like it was pretty obvious because we're wearing Bolingbrook jackets and all that we were there just to cause trouble. So the Andrew people, I don't know if they just decided to go ahead and uphold sportsmanship on their own, but they didn't want us rooting for them. Like we were bad luck. I don't know. So they're ripping Bolingbrook and then we're ripping Andrew, and basically the Andrew guy calls me out. So now it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to fight this guy. This is gonna happen. So my buddy Mex comes up to me before I fight. Mex and I are very much alike in the way that we grew up. Like, we have other people had normal lives and stuff like that, but we had weird childhoods. I've told you a little bit about mine. I was raised by my mom alone and stuff like that. Well, Dave, I won't go into details, but let's put it. This is who Dave is. Dave came up to me. This is high school. Before I'm going to fight a guy in high school, Dave hands me a knife. Just says here, take this. And I take it. I don't know if he thinks I'm going to gut the Andrew guy like a fish and bleed him out on the field. Because part of me actually wishes I'd done it. Part of me actually wishes I'd taken the knife and the Andrew guy comes at me to fight and I just, like a movie, just shank him and then pull up like a zipper. Just zipper him up to his Adam's apple. And then everybody just looks at me and goes, what are you doing? Part of me wishes I'd have done that just to see the response of everybody. And part of me wishes I'd have done it because then I wouldn't have gotten my ass kicked as bad as I did by the Andrew guy because he wailed on me. It was like he jumped me and he started punching me and I did this like I had enough in me where there's enough adrenaline to where I fought him off and I stood up and I was like, is that all you got? And I remember everybody going, yeah, like they were so happy. And then I still proceeded to get my ass beat at that point, but I did have one moment of glory. But when this guy jumped me and I'm on the ground, I felt a pressure on my chest, like I didn't know what it was in the middle of the fight. And at the end of the fight, we're walking away, and Dan Laporta comes up to me and he's just like, dude, he goes, you all right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that guy kicked you in the chest so hard. If your chest was a football, it would have gone 50 fucking yards. Like if it was a punt, because it was like, because I heard everybody go, oh, when he did it, and I felt the pressure on my chest, and then I knew it the next 3 days that I had because I couldn't breathe. Like I had a bruised sternum, and I just the worst like black and blue and yellow fucking thing on my chest and couldn't breathe. So yeah, because I got just fucking blasted. And the thing is, that's who I was as a kid. I avoided fight. Like I was supposed to fight this guy Larry Bagwell and avoided it. And like to this day now, I've even joked about it. I think I joked about it. Never Not Funny, and I've written it in blogs. Like I can't stop obsessing about Larry Bagwell. He's in fucking jail now. I mean, this guy, he's gone off and lived a life of crime. And still, I think to myself, God, I wish I could have fought him. I'm 40. Grow up. I can't. I don't do. It's funny. Mex is a guy who wants to do things that I do, I think, but he won't do them. Like he thinks I'm hilarious, but also he thinks he just cringes at the horrible things that I do. We went to our we went to our 20th high school reunion. There's a girl named Barb Wolf that for some reason I don't get along with. I do sort of, but I guess I don't. And we don't because I'm a fucking jerk. I guess is would be the reason. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards. I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why: because you're a dick. I'm Barb is Barb and I don't get along. So we're at the 20th reunion. The 20th reunion ends, and it's time for after party weirdness. The actual reunion was fun. It was really neat kind of seeing people that you went to school with, and there was no weird high school cliques, and there was no weird tension, because you wound up talking to people. But what was funny too is to see people that in high school who were really, hot or really this or that, and to see how much they'd changed, and then to see that they were all of a sudden really friendly. It's just like, oh, wow, now you're talking to me. That's great, because I remember before you weren't very friendly, and it was funny. There's a girl in our class. I'm not going to say her name, but when the reunion was getting organized, she was really friendly on the message boards. And I told my friend, I go, I'm guaranteeing that she got fat. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "You remember her?" I go, "Because she was like a stiff. Like she was nice, and we got along with her, but she always had that arm's length thing going on. But now all of a sudden she's like, I can't wait to see all you people. This is gonna be fantastic." And I told my friend, I guarantee you, she is a fucking house. And sure enough, we show up at the reunion, and she comes stampeding in like a yak, and she is a monster. And I knew it. And believe me, I shouldn't even be talking because this is before I had my surgery. So I ballooned in too, like the underdog balloon at the fucking Macy's Day Parade. But still, I was fat in school and was just fatter. She was like hot in school, and all of a sudden, bang, she Volkswagened out nicely, and I knew it too and it was funny. My buddy just looked at me, just nodded like, "Yep, you were right." So the reunion though was really fun. It was we got along, everything was great, but then the reunion ends, and all of a sudden things turn weird because now the weird high school clique stuff kind of starts happening, and we get into an elevator. There's like there's like 10 of us in an elevator, and the door closes, and there's a sign, and it says no smoking. And Barb Wolf, who I don't really get along with very well, is smoking. And I even said, I go, "Hey, no smoking, Barb." And she's just like, "Oh, well, it's not a problem. We're only going up 6 floors, and big deal. So what? I'm nobody here has a problem with it except you, Mike." And she's talking and talking and talking, and so rather than just deal with that, because I knew she was talking to get to the floor where we were going to, so she could smoke the whole time, I threw a glass of water in her face, and because I was aiming for the cigarette. Okay, she was like waving the cigarette around like, big deal. If I'm smoking, who cares? They're trying to make these laws and they tell you that you can't smoke in an elevator, but you know what? Splash. I just threw like this, and literally the tension level in this elevator went. All of us are kind of like, because it was tense anyway, because she and I are nitpicking at one another. And literally, you ever see Porky's? Maybe you haven't, because again, it's a movie for people that are my age. But in Porky's, there was this guy Pee Wee kept trying to get over on this one girl, and they kept trying to play pranks on one another, that kind of thing. And I don't think we were like that. We had more of a hatred base than the two of them, I would think. Although we get along fine now, everything's great. But and that's a lie. Nothing's great. But I mean, I get along. If I see her, I'm pleasant to her, and she's pleasant to me. But I don't think she likes me very much, and that's fine. I'm again, as we've established, I'm kind of a jagoff. So sure enough, she's waving the cigarette around. She's like, "I don't know if I should stop smoking." Splash! Silence in the elevator. I mean, complete silence. But I see Max he wants to laugh, but he can't laugh. He's just like looking at the wall, like, "Oh, I can't." Like he can't believe I did it. Like he's always torn with me because he doesn't know whether to celebrate what I did or to be sick, because he's like, "I can't believe you just fucking did that." So it's quiet. There's like this beat of complete silence, and she goes, "Real mature, Mike. Really nice. You throw water on me, real mature." And it's quiet, and I go, "I can't believe you didn't melt." And Max just goes, "Oh," like, because he really wants to laugh, but he can't. And everybody else is just looking at me like I'm a dick, because I am. There's no doubt that was a dick move. I guarantee. I understand it was a dick move, but at the same time, it's a dick move to be smoking in an elevator with 10 other people. God damn it, put your cigarette out. Be a grown up. But yeah, so I said, "I can't believe you didn't." I was and I cannot tell you how proud I was, how proud of myself I was for getting that quick. Just splash. Oh, real mature, Mike. You throw water on me? I can't believe you didn't melt. Bang. Yeah, but I mean, just Barb and I, we never got along. But she's really nice. I mean, I'm sure she's really nice. And it's funny because she's like best friends with Dennis, who is also my friend. And which is weird because if she thinks I'm a jerk, what the fuck is she doing hanging around with Dennis? Dennis is a cock. Just amazing. But when Dennis's 40th birthday party we went to, and she brought her fiance, and he was a cool dude. He was really really cool. But he was this big dude, and his skin was really red, like I don't know if he was sunburned or that was who he was. So we started calling him the Beat because his skin was so crazy red. We're like, "Dude, what's with the Beat?" And of course we're not telling him that, and we're not telling Barb that. And then we all had to find tables because it was a big party, and there's probably like 8 tables, and they weren't, so you immediately got to figure out who you're sitting with. And it became a running joke with my friends. We're like, "Dude, I'm not getting saddled with the Beat." Again, nice guy, but just it made us laugh to keep calling him the Beat and keep saying we didn't want to sit with him because we're pricks. But that's my friends. That's the guy. It's funny. Yeah, I told the story about driving around. It seemed like whenever we'd get into cars, that's when shit would happen. When you would do ridiculous stuff in a car. One time we went down to Chicago for a Cub game, and it was me, Dennis, Jeff, I think Ak was with us, my buddy Mike Akiyoshi and Max. And we went. Oh, and Pete Gogano was there. Oh, and Pete, dude, Pete is a piece of work. Pete is a guy none of us talk to anymore, but in school he was the greatest. Pete was beautiful. Pete was a guy. We went to a house party one time, and I actually told this story before on Never Not Funny. We went to a house party, and it was a toga party, and the people having the party were younger than us. And when we got to the door, we weren't wearing togas. They opened the door, and they said to Pete, they go, "Hey, where's your togas?" And Pete flexed in this guy's face and goes, "Here's my fucking toga." And we walked in, and they let us in because Pete had a giant arm. Pete was a guy. Pete wound up banging a girl in school, and she became the bucket of mud from that point on in high school. She didn't know, but because he banged her and he said it was like fucking a bucket of mud. So then for the rest of the high school career, we were just like, yeah, what's the bucket of mud up to? That's what we would literally call her, the bucket of mud. Yeah, Pete is he's a rough houser. Pete was a guy. We were shooting pool one time with our buddy Kenny Haynes. Kenny Haynes we used to call him the Monster because he was 6'4", 280. He was a lineman on the football team, and he was from Texas, and he was hysterical. Kenny Haynes was one of the funniest guys I ever met in my life, and he was shooting pool with Pete, and he was winning, and he was talking, and he had this way he would sing song talk. He'd be like, I am crushing you in this pool game. Like that's how Kenny would talk. So he was saying it. Finally, Pete looked at him and goes, "You know what, Kenny? You talk like Minnesota Fats, but you play like Texas asshole." Guys from Texas, dropped that right in his face. Awesome. I loved Pete. So anyway, we go to Chicago, and we're driving to the Cub game, and the Cub game winds up getting rained out. It was one of those weird days where we lived like 35 miles from Chicago, and by us, it was like 75 degrees and sunny. By the time we got into the city, it was like 51 degrees and rainy. It was awful. So they wound up canceling the game. Game was rained out. So then we were driving in Chicago, and then it clears up, of course. So we're driving, we're caught in traffic, and every time we're pulling up to a stoplight, there's a guy on a 10-speed who drives past us. And it's just, we're bored and we're kind of hot in the car and we don't know what to do. So we get to the stoplight and the guy passes us again. So I'm in the passenger seat. And I go, what the fuck is with this guy passing us all the time? Is there a side street or something? And Dennis was driving. He's like, look, dude, just shut up. We're fine. And then sure enough, the guy sails right by us again. And I go, fuck this. I'm tired of this guy passing us. So as we go to pass him and go to the next light, we drive up. And I lean out the window, and this guy's on the 10-speed, and he doesn't have a shirt on, I should tell you that. And he's driving, and he turns around, and he just sees this fat behemoth hanging out of a passenger side window. He doesn't know what the fuck's going to happen. So I lean out, and he's on his bike, and I lean forward, and I smack him as hard as I fucking can on his back. For no reason. Just literally, just because I was tired of him passing us constantly, I just leaned out of the car and I smacked this guy as hard as I could in the back. And then we drove fast, like to get away from him. And everybody in the car, we're laughing. I'm on the floor, like literally on the floor of the car, hitting the seat, like, because my hand hurts. I hit him because we're going, 25 miles an hour. And I blasted this guy at his bike, like, he kind of like shakily drove and it looked like he was going to crash or something. And we drive. But unfortunately, it's the city. So we continue to drive. We have to stop at a stoplight. We're laughing. The whole car is laughing. We stop at the stoplight, and I look in the rearview mirror. He's coming. This guy's coming after us. I'm like, I'm gonna have to fucking jam with this guy on the bike. So I'm ready for it. I'm waiting for him, and probably because he had no idea what was going on, but he pulled past the car and basically he spit at the car. Is all he did. That was his reaction. But the funniest thing is he spit at the car, and then he turned down a side street really fast. When he turned around, he had the hugest Andre the Giant fucking handprint on his back I think I've ever seen. It looked like I had a giant hand on a stick and tattooed him with it, because apparently we were going so fast. And again, I've got a giant hand. I think we covered that earlier in the show. And I hit him hard, like to make a smack noise, but for some reason it was really comically big. Like it looked like someone had put like a hand thing and then spray painted the rest of his back and left the hand. It was gorgeous. So we couldn't stop laughing. But that's who you're dealing with, folks. A guy who smacked a guy for no reason on a bike in Chicago. I am not a good guy. Because that's who they are. No matter what happens now, if they've grown up and they've done their thing. And, my buddy Dave Wojcik is a great guy. My buddy Dave Wojcik he's married to his wife Linda. He's got beautiful kids. I think he's even found religion now. He's got an amazing job. And but he's still going to be the guy who, wound up asking, would always ask you after your first date with someone if you fucked her in the mouth yet. That's who Dave Wojcik is. So, that's just my friends. And I'm sure we've all got friends like that. And if you don't, maybe you should get some, because these are pretty good guys. So there you go. So I guess you know what? Like I said, it's always a discovery for me whether or not I'm a dick. Am I've done dickish things, but I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So and go ahead and by all means judge that. Go ahead and write me emails telling me whether or not you think I'm a jagoff or not. I'm probably a jagoff, but I'm still a decent fella. I'm a decent guy. I just want to be in a prick. All right. Well. Uh, so this is the first Sans Eric show. This is the first Eric Butterfield less show, and again, I cannot stress enough how thankful I am to Eric because it was his idea to do this show, and it was his hard work that got this show up and running. And I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate it, and I hope he's still listening, and I hope he understands just how much what he did means to me. So that's great. I appreciate that. And also, on the flip side, I want to thank Lily for going ahead and taking over the production reins because honestly, when I got the email, because the email I got from Eric was funny. We did the show last week, and the very next day I got an email, and it was Eric Butterfield, and it just said, "Don't be mad." That's what it said in the header of the email. And I went, oh man, this is not going to be good. Particularly after I spent 45 minutes tearing his wife down. I'm sure that this is not going to be a very good email. And he handled it in a very gracious and very classy way, just telling me, you know what, real life had interfered and he wasn't able to be involved anymore. So I'm looking forward to getting my don't be mad email from Lily. I'm sure that'll be coming at some point. But I'm still. I hope you guys are still on board with the show, and I hope Eric is still on board. I hope everyone's still on board. And you know what? Am I a dick? I might be, but that's for me to figure out, and for you to enjoy, I suppose. All right, I want to tell you guys you can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Always go there and visit and learn and read the communiques and check out the appearances. As of right now, the appearances I do, the shows I'm doing in town here are, I'm doing one-nighters at like country clubs and stuff. So it's not like stuff I can put on the website because then people will, because real people can't come. It's for, fucking Judge Smales and the rest of the crew over there at the at the country club. They go and they dedicate their dinghies and then they come in and they laugh at me for an hour and a half. And by an hour and a half, I mean a half an hour because I am certainly not on stage for an hour and a half. I'm barely in the room for an hour and a half. And also these gigs, by the way, I can't say fuck. So wrap your mind around that. Mike Schmidt on stage for 35 minutes, not being able to say that. And I can do it. I just choose not to when I talk to you guys or when I talk, at other shows that I can do on my own because I swear in real life. But, yeah, so I'm doing shows, but unfortunately they're not shows that I can put on the website and have people come to. They're shows at a country club here and there. So all the people in Lake Forest know that I'm coming and they'll enjoy me soon enough, and Oceanside and wherever else. But go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com for all communiques and appearances. You can write me there, of course. Go to MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy and be my friend. I think we've heard from this show. I need more friends. The guys I have stuck with me through thick and thin, and I need to add to that number because eventually they're going to get tired of me, and I'm going to get a don't be mad email from the three of them, and then it's going to be just me solo, banging my head against the wall, talking to nobody. So by all means, be my friend through MySpace. So that's MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy, and also go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com.
Hey, if you have a country club in Oceanside and you want a comedian, you should really give me a call because, as you've heard, I have plenty of experience doing so. How was that, folks? That was the first episode with our friend Lily Von Stupp, and it was an abrupt ending there. We had to cut it because the music, we're all figuring it out, folks. And also, I don't want Lily to have to do a ton of editing. I don't know if I told this story in the body of that episode, but I'll back tag it and tell it now. Eric did send me the email, and he's like, "Dude, we're done." And so I thought that I was mad because I wasn't even going to get to do a farewell episode. I just thought the podcast was over. And then our friend Lily Von Stupp stepped to the forefront, stepped forward, and said, "Hey, I will produce your show." And I said, "No, I don't think that's a good idea because everybody I work with doesn't like me anymore." And she said, "Well, that's okay. If that ever happens, I'll tell you, and then we'll stop working together because your friendship is important to me." And I said, "That's a phrase I've never heard before. Good for you." And so here we are, 6 years later, in the oldest building in Hollywood, bringing you our past. See, folks, isn't it fun to walk down memory lane? And by the way, you know what we cut out of that last episode? Plugs from MySpace. Like we were listening to it, and Lily's like, "Oh my God, how many?" And the thing is, I plugged MySpace for like 9 minutes. It was like terrible. I kept talking about it. I wouldn't stop. She goes, "I can cut all this," and I'm like, "I kind of like it." And then I would not shut the fuck up about MySpace. And then she's looking at me, and I go, "Yeah, cut it. Just cut it all out. It's fine." But we kept in the very important piece about me playing at a country club in Oceanside that you cannot attend. So if I ever have another show, and by the way, that was a girl, it's a woman, a comedian, Frances DiLorenzo is the woman, and she's a great comic, very funny, and she would handle these shows and book them, and I haven't worked for her in 4 years easily, and just a week and a half ago, she called me and said, "Hey, this is an emergency." She left a voicemail because I didn't get the message, and she goes, "Can you get to Banning tonight to do a set or whatever the fuck?" And I was like, and I didn't even get to call her back because I didn't get the message till late because it was a fucking 3-hour drive and I would have never made it. And also, you know, although that would be an appropriate city for me to go to because I would be banned from there forever if I ever went and did a set because they would not enjoy me in Banning. Now, in Ukiah, they would love me, but Banning, not fans. So there you go, folks. There you've got the first episode with our friend Eric, and you get the first episode with our friend Lily von Stupp. And in the liner notes, if you buy year one, you'll get the liner notes for every episode. When I thought that was still a good idea, and I actually wanted to squeeze a third episode in here. I thought about it because one of my favorite episodes. What's saying? You don't think so?
This is 33 minutes of you talking without the clips.
Yes, I know. I apologize. I should leave. Don't talk, by the way. I apologize. Why did I even ask you for an answer? Just nod politely. But I wanted to try to squeeze a third episode just because there's a moment. It's the moment that changes everything for me. Because even in that episode, Lily was laughing, but not. She was also trying to restrain herself, and she was doing a lot of laughing like into a towel, and it was really funny to watch. I may have even commented on it in the show where she'd be like turning her head and trying not to laugh. And then when a couple episodes later, I don't even remember how I got on it. Oh, because Lily was late. And so she had to reschedule, and it turned out that she was in Las Vegas with the burlesque legends. It's one of my favorite moments ever from the podcast. And I started making fun of her for having to meet the burlesque legends. And I said, and I started imitating the women. I go, what is this discussion like? You're talking to this woman, and she's like, well, and the Hays Code came along, and I couldn't show my knees. And Lily chokes. She actually fucking just goes, and I remember I laughed with it, and I just kept running with it. Just, Major gave me a diamond hand. I don't even know what the fuck I said. Honestly, I just remember that moment kind of changed everything because I went, oh, Lily's the audience. That's who I'm trying to make laugh. I mean, you guys are all there, and obviously I want you to laugh and play along, but Lily's right here, and the response is immediate, and it allows me to fucking run downhill. Because you can just tag shit and go and be funny and be funny and be funny, and I'm lucky enough that she thinks I'm funny, so that works out for me, but it really put a light on where I was like, dude, just fucking hit her in the gut. That's all you got to do. Well, I mean, not really. I mean, I don't want to hit her in the gut. Well, although that would make a great show, let's be honest. What if one day I just punched Lily in the gut? That changes everything, right? And then we cut to a clip show in 3 years with my new producer, and I go, here was the final episode where I punched Lily in the gut. So there's clip shows, and I hope Lily feels better, and you guys you've been very nice reaching out on Facebook and sending medical advice, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than medical advice from strangers. So please, and just write her and just go, hey, look, Redfoot, here's what you need to do. You need to drink a cocktail. Isn't Redfoot's in Usual Suspects? Wait a minute. Are you Kaiser Soze? Is that what you're trying to tell me here? The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing me he was a hot burlesque dancer. You guys can get me at mike@mikeshmidtcomedy.com. You guys can get me at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy and be my friend there. Hey, our friend David Hernandez, who does all of the music and all of the artwork for this show and all of the bumpers, the bumper you're about to hear, as a matter of fact, he is available at facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez. Go ahead and reach out and be his friend. And if you'd like to hire him to do any sort of artwork for your business or any logos, anything like that, he's always available to listen and give you a quote. So go ahead and write him go and visit his website, I should say, at artbydmh.com. That's ARTBYDMH.com. Always available and willing to give you his rates. You can be our friend Lily von Stupp's friend at facebook.com/Lily von Stupp. You can follow her at 3 separate Twitter accounts. Hey, did I mention my Twitter account? I'm at twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. And Lily is at 3 separate accounts. Twitter.com/Lily von Stupp, Twitter.com/MNTs, and Twitter.com/HollywoodBQFest, or Hollywood BQ Fest, right? Okay. Follow her on all of those things. But if you'd like to write her a personal note and find out who she almost fucked just for the story, you can write her at Lily@burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Business, get it at, 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 business. Well, let Mike Schmidt sell you the new box set with year 1 through year 5. Get it at, business. Get it at Joe. Get it at. Get it at Joe. Get it at. Get it at Joe Business.
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. It is the production of our lovely friend Lily Von Stupp, who is here right now. Hey, Lily, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
That's all I need to hear. So that is coming up this week. This week's show is going to be a great show. It is the middle of September. I'm very sorry that my lovely friend Lily is sick during September, but hopefully she'll be healthy before you even know it. There's a show this week. I'm not sure if it's a theme show. You can always go to the Monday Night Teas Facebook page and check out what's coming up. And go to brownpapertickets.com for tickets to all of the Monday Night Teas shows. I will tell you a little bit about this week's Monday Night Teas. Like I said, I was roped into hosting the show. And it was a show, The MILF Show. So it was, as you know, that stands for Mike's I'd Like to Fuck. So, of course, you've got to have me in the lineup. And good. That was the only funny thing I said all night. Besides this, at the end of the show, with the Scarlet Orgasm came on and performed. And she was pregnant. She is 7 months pregnant, and so she came out to do a dance and show that the female form is in its most beautiful state when it is with child. So she came out and did her thing, and she was hopping around and jumping. And she had a warrior spear, and she had war paint on, and she was looking fierce, and the place was going crazy. And when she finished, she got a standing ovation because she disrobed, and she had she's got a big ass belly fucking baby stomach living in there. There's a guy, he lives in there in her baby house. So she's jumping around. I'm like, woohoo, that's great. And I was up in the VIP section watching her, and in the middle of her routine, I thought of something and I laughed like almost as loud as the music. And there's another woman up there named Vivi Triple she's a burlesque dancer who was running the merch site for Lily that night. And Vivi looked at me and I just leaned over and I go, I just thought of the worst thing to say and I can't wait because either people are going to love it or they're going to boo the shit out of me. And she just goes, oh, great. Like she had no... She's one of those people that looks at me like, well, yeah, there's that funny guy, whatever. Just fucking, because she's real analytical, whatever. Who cares? So Scarlet Orgasm finishes her dance. She's got a spear. She's got war paint on. She's got a big baby house stomach, and the baby reaches out of her vagina and waves. He takes a bow. He's all excited. It was perfect. That was the closing thing. She finished dancing and she's like da da da, and then a baby arm reached out of her vagina and held out a flag that said bang. Like those trick guns. That's kind of funny. All right, that was not the thing I said. I should have said that. That would have been much funnier than this. Except I went subtle, folks. She finished and standing ovation, place is going crazy, and I get up on stage and I'm like, Scarlet Orgasm, woo! Everybody goes nuts. And there was a die down of the applause, and I went, I was always told that you weren't supposed to shake a baby. Come on, folks. And that got a big laugh from some people and a groan from some other people, and I did not care. I was thrilled. And I said, you know what? The whole night is worth it because I said that. Because it was my favorite thing to say. So the MILF show was great. There's this show coming up this week. Please remember the Hollywood Burlesque Festival is coming. You can go to HollywoodBurlesqueFestival.com for all of the information about that. The tickets are available right now. Dancers have been notified. They're putting the shows together. The lineup is going to be amazing. Headliners like Russell Bruner, who I've talked about on this show, and also Kitten Natividad will be there. Now, if you don't know Kitten Natividad, she is one of the muses for Russ Meyer, who made all those Faster Pussycat Kill Kill movies in the 60s and 70s. And then Kitten Natividad then went into hardcore porn. She's got a gigantic rack. No, she did hardcore. I can see it's online. I guarantee it. You want to bet me? I Google it. I'm serious. I've seen a cock in her. All right, so she's done softcore porn too. Whatever. Well, you're in a fever haze. Perhaps you're just arguing to argue, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure she did hardcore porn. Well, maybe that could have just been in my brain. I have no idea. And I'll tell you what. Come on to the Hollywood Burlesque Festival. Kitten Natividad making her hardcore porn debut. It'll be fantastic. Right on stage. Line forms to the right. But she is a burlesque legend and a very classy lady who's going to be up there stripping and doing an amazing dance and routine. We're excited to have her. So happy that she's in the Hollywood Burlesque Festival. If you were saying, well, I don't know who that is, Mike. Well, I'll tell you what. The second you see her, you will know who she is. But I will throw this at you. If you're my age, you saw a film called The Wildlife when you were a kid. The Wildlife starring Chris Penn and Eric Stoltz and Leah Thompson. Have a maple bar, brother. They're fresh. That's a scene in a donut shop. So I think I've talked about The Wildlife extensively on this show. Eddie Van Halen did the soundtrack for it. And there's a scene where they go to a strip club, and actually Kevin Peter Hall is the bouncer in the strip club. He was in Misfits of Science, and he wound up dying, but he was a giant, whatever. But in the strip club, Kitten Natividad is the stripper who climbs in the martini glass. And Angel Salazar, and she actually has a scene where she's like shaking her big tits, and then she goes, "The ice cream man is here," and she takes her top off, and her gigantic breasts come out. And Angel Salazar, who is one of Chris Penn's buddies with Eric Stoltz, he goes, "It's bigger than my apartment, man." Mang, because he's very Spanish, and I can't do that accent, but he yells that in the most unnatural line reading you'll ever hear in your life. And then a fight breaks out, and then she keeps dancing in a martini glass till the girl can't help it. It's fucking amazing. So check that out, and then come check her out at the Hollywood Burlesque Festival. That's going to be great and fun and exciting. Now, let's get to the real news of the day. The Hollywood Burlesque Festival. Tickets are available now. This isn't the real news. I just want to tell you I have live shows coming up. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas next week. People have asked me if I'm going to do another set when I'm in town. I got to know. I got to check. Our friend Jen wrote me, and I'm going to write her back today to see her tomorrow. Or you're hearing this tomorrow, so I'm writing her on Wednesday. You don't care. But I will be there for the show. I'll have CDs, I'll have shirts, and I'll have whatever I'm going to talk about. Still trying to figure it out, but it should be fun and exciting. Shows at 6:30 at the Cold Town Theater, September 28th, next Saturday in Austin, Texas. Tickets are available now at brownpapertickets.com, and let's buy some. That'd be great, because I would love to come into town and see a group of people. And then after the show, man, I'm up for hanging out and whatever we're going to do. That'll be fine. Then the following week, I am here in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Podcast Festival, folks. That's the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. That's the weekend here in October. And I know that I will be performing on Saturday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the Espada Room, I believe. I don't know if they've changed that yet. Again, things seem to be in flux over at the LA Podcast Festival. You can go to lapodfest.com for the schedule. But I know I am performing at 4 o'clock on Saturday. And then I'm also in a panel with John Lovitz, talking about the pros and cons of podcasting networks. And as you know, keep it indie with Mike Schmidt. So guess where I'm going to fall on the side of the coin as we're talking with Lovitz. That's going to be on Sunday at noon. So I get to see an hour of the Bears game, and then I get to show up there and do a panel. So that's that. So that's Saturday, and then Sunday there's a closing party. Tickets are available now. There's 3-day tickets. There's 1-day tickets. All of these are available now at lapodfest.com. All the information, where the hotel is. You can get a room, come in, have a good time, hang out. Last year I had such fun just seeing people from all over the place coming to town and meeting me in the hallway. Hanging out was almost as good as my show. My show was amazing, and you can get my show at my website, and I'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, the show was great. I had a really fantastic time, but it was really more fun meeting people, taking pictures, and being able to put names to faces from Facebook. So thank you so much for that, and I hope I get to see a ton of you when you guys come to town for the Podfest in 2 weeks, October 4th, 5th, and 6th. I am in Seattle, October 19th, I believe it is. Yeah, it's October 19th. It's a Saturday night at the Jewel Box at the Rendezvous Theater. Hey, let's buy tickets for that. That's a month away. Go ahead and pick up some seats for that. I'll be coming to the Great Northwest, and that's, I will tell you, there's no time to hang out there. I'm actually flying in the day of the show. I'm flying in and then flying out early the next morning. So I probably won't sleep. So, I'll come to town, get a nap in the afternoon, do the show, and then I'll hang out all night. And then someone can get me to the airport, and I'll fly home. It'll be great. So that'll be fantastic. Come to the show. Tickets are available now for the Jewel Box of the Rendezvous in Seattle, October 19th. Go to brownpapertickets.com and search me, search Seattle. You'll find it. And then tickets are on sale for Green Bay, as I mentioned earlier in the show, at the Green Room Lounge on November 2nd. That's Saturday, November 2nd. Tickets are available now for the show at the Green Room Lounge. Pick up tickets for Seattle. Pick up tickets for Green Bay. Tickets for Austin. Those are available through Round Paper Tickets, and go to lapodfest.com for tickets for the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. You can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and go to the Joe Business page for all of our merchandise. We've got Schmitty Comes Alive. That's a live download of last year's podcast festival. We've got For the Life of Schmitty. That is a single from this year's interlude. It is me attempting to rap, but mainly you're getting it from Mex's musical genius. There is artwork available. 2 people out there have ordered artwork, and I have not contacted you. I'll be writing you today, which means yesterday, so you will have that by the time you're hearing this in your ears, I promise. But thank you so much for ordering artwork. We have not forgotten about you. It's just a weirder process because Mex has to get it. He has to sign it, and then he has to send it to me. We sign it, and then I send it to you. But it will get to you very soon, I promise. And I will also contact you about what exactly you wanted. I know one of the people, who cares? I'll talk to you. This is better spent in an email, but I'm doing it now. It's a verbal email for you guys. So there's artwork, Schmitty Comes Alive, For the Life of Schmitty. Those are available. And then The Big Angry is my CD, and that is always available. The Big Angry CD is available to you now. You can get it at my website for $15, and then it'll be an autographed version, and I will send it to you. I am current right now on shipping as of today, so if you've ordered one, it is en route. It is on the way to you now. So please know that it is coming, and please watch those mailboxes. But I will sign the CD. You can also get it at Amazon.com. You can get it at ASTRecords.com, or is that AST.com? I'm not sure. Go ahead and check. And it's also available for digital download in iTunes and also through Amazon. Speaking of Amazon, if you go to the Joe Business page, there's an Amazon pennant. Click through there, and you wind up in the Mike Schmidt store. Granted, it hasn't been updated, so if you want to buy Big Angry through Amazon, you can get it through there. Go ahead and click on it, and I'll get credit. And then do some shopping, and I get credit for that as well. I'm an Amazon affiliate, folks. I'm very important. Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, Year 4, and Year 5 of this podcast are available individually or available as the UN of Evil box set. Go ahead and purchase that. That'd be fantastic. I'd appreciate it. You just heard 2 stories from Year 1, so why not buy Year 1 and catch up on the rest of those stories, because it's amazing, folks. If you want to donate to the show, you can click on the donate button in the upper left-hand corner of every page on MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Click on the little Schmitty with his pocket out, and you can donate $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, or $25 a month, or a one-time donation, which is always appreciated, and thank you so very much. I'm so glad that you've chosen to support this show. Tweakedaudio.com/40 always supports this show. They have for years and years, so go ahead and get autoerotic asphyxiation earbuds, and I think they still have cock ring watches, and also just gear, general gear. Who doesn't want a sticker that says Tweaked? Everybody does. Buy it, stick it on a road sign so it'll stay there forever and ever. Literally, if you buy any sticker and stick it on the back of a stop sign, it will stay there until the world ends. There will be roaches and band stickers. That's all that's going to be left on this planet. The Yurt shirt is available. Yurt, yurt, yurt. That shirt is available now. I do not have them in my hands. As I mentioned, shipping will probably not take place until September 30th. But and I've already sold a bunch. I can tell you this. I mentioned there were very limited quantities in some sizes. Well, I've already sold one of the medium men's, and I've sold 2 of the women's 2Xs. So if you want those, jump on board and get those right away. And shipping will take place probably next week sometime, and I will get those to you as soon as I possibly can. But I will also have them live. They are $25 through the website, $30 if I have to ship them internationally. And I will tell you this. Live, however, they are $20 because obviously I don't have to do any shipping. So I will just hand them to you, and you will give me a 20, and we will all smile and have a great time. And now I'm going to take off my 4 surgical masks and run away from this fucking pit of germs as quickly as I possibly can, because poor Lily needs to lay down. She needs to get some sleep. She needs to go ahead and rest. And I feel bad because, she's ill, and I make her do this. And that's, she's one of my best friends in the world. I love her, and I'm so glad that she took the time to do this. And it's always a chore when she's sick, because then I'm like, can I please just come over and do part of the show? And then I wind up talking for a fucking hour, even though I said I wouldn't. So I apologize to you on the air now. Let's get you to bed. Let's tuck you in. I'll go tuck you in. You want me to tuck you in? Let's do that. Let's actually record that. I'll take you in the room. I'll gently tuck you in. I'll get you some warm milk. Because God knows what somebody with phlegm all over themselves, they want warm milk immediately. That's the first thing they want. Actually, poor little, she's sitting here. She's like, I am so ill and I'm so full of germs, but there is a fucking 300-pound germ sitting across from me that if I could just get him out of the apartment, everything would be so much better. But he won't shut the fuck up. This germ, it's the germ that keeps on germing. That's all I do. All I do is, and I'm German. That's the weirdest part. I'm a German germ who keeps on germing all over this fucking apartment. And she's like, God damn it, I can deal with other germs, microbes that are inside me because I don't have to see them. But I got to look across at this guy in his fucking shiny green shorts being a fucking germ, and he will not leave me alone, and he fucking won't stop talking. And already he brought up his past. He talks so much. I just got to get him the fuck out of here. But yet he won't leave. I just want to lie down. I just want to take my clothes off and sleep. That's all I want to do is I want to relax and get better. Like the people on Facebook said that I should. I just want my red foot to be white again. That's all I'm looking for. Don't it make your red foot white? Don't it make your red foot white, goddammit. But this germ will not leave. He refuses. He has infested me. He is incubating. He will not. He just keeps gestating, and there's nothing I can do. I just need to get him out of my life. I'm human lunch meat. I'm nobody. I'm baloney in pants. God damn it. Why do I think I'm somebody special? Why do I think I'm anybody interesting? I'm not. All I bring to the table is everything that everybody else does, but louder. Don't hit snooze on me, motherfucker. I am a hilarious noise machine. I'm going to tell you this. You need to sit down and reevaluate your life if you can pull 2 midget Indian wrestlers out of your skull at any time. You know what? I don't even need you people here. Seriously, I do this. I love me. I don't give a fuck what you think, how you think. God damn it, I'm the greatest. I can't go for Schmidt. No, no. No can do. 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 No can do.